stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports Night family. You know who it is, youngest in charge movement. Liddell Willingham here with you live and nationwide on Westwood One Sports. Ride with me as I take you up to 3 a.m. Eastern time here on a Wednesday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night. Feels like Friday for your boy, the super producer, Denton Day. Going to have you locked in over the next 2 nights. We do get a visit from the King of North Kakalaki, Josh Graham. He's going to stop by in about 20 minutes from now. Y'all know the boy couldn't go through a Wednesday without popping in on the program. He was filling in for our guy Bleck earlier today on Bleck and Abdallah. And let's just say Josh has some things to get off of his chest. He'll join us coming up in about 20 minutes, as I mentioned. We appreciate you, though, man. Lock it in however you're doing so. Sirius XM Channel 375. WestwoodOneSports.com, and the always free Westwood One Sports app. It's the People Show. You know how to get in touch with me. On the phones, 310-840-4910. And then you can check us out on YouTube and X. Streaming live, baby, as we take you coast to coast here on this Wednesday evening. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. And I got to give y'all a round of applause. Did we figure out, you want me to give a real round of applause? Or are we going to do the fake round of applause? Either way, you all deserve major kudos for the work that you all have put in, pumping that YouTube stream up. You all follow. You're coachable. I was going to say you follow directions well. That made me sound like an entitled jerk. You don't follow directions well. You're coachable. People, we told you we wanted to get to 600 subscribers by the end of the month. That's what Josh said, at least. I want to get to 1,000 because I believe in the power of the people. This is the People Show. So if there's any show that can do it and have that type of rapid growth, if there's any fan base that can really show their voice, so to speak, it's you all. 600 may be here by the end of the night at the pace we're going at. 545 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen, on the Westwood One Sports Night YouTube page. That is all you, baby. So we appreciate you locking in with us, man. Y'all can get us to 1,000. We may be at 600 by the end of the night. And y'all know what I said, right? If you get us to 1,000 by the end of the month, we don't have the picture up right now. I may do a whole hair wardrobe makeover. Hair wardrobe makeover. A whole hair makeover. I don't know what I meant. I may grow my hair out. I may do something special for you all because that's how much it means to me. So we appreciate you locking in every night here on Westwood One Sports Night. Let's get right into it, baby. There are a couple of things that I want to get to right out of the chute here. The first thing is this. The LA Rams are doing their damnedest right now to make sure that they're the best team in the NFC going into the 2026 season. If you've been under a rock all afternoon long, welcome. The LA Rams once again saying the hell with them picks. The LA Rams acquiring former Chiefs All-Pro defensive back Trent McDuffie. The Rams give up the number 29 overall pick, a 5th-round pick coming up, in this year's draft, a 6th-round pick coming up in this year's draft, and then a 3rd-round pick in next year's draft. Why were the Rams able to pull off a move like this? They have the number 13 overall pick based off of the deal that they pulled off with the Falcons last year that allowed Atlanta to get back into round 1 to ultimately select James Pierce. You don't think they're regretting that? You don't think they're having a little bit of buyer's remorse on their behalf right now, as James Pierce is in a whole world of uncertainty right now when it comes to his professional future? This is the second time, though, in the past 2 off seasons, looking at this thing from the Chiefs' perspective, that they have moved on from a prominent quarterback. This is what they do. They tell you straight up, we'll groom young corners, we'll get you ready, but when it's time for that second contract, you got to hit the road, Jack. You saw it with L'Jarius Sneed. We saw it back in the day with Marcus Peters, and you're seeing it now with Trent McDuffie, who, if you aren't familiar with Trent McDuffie's game, Trent McDuffie is one of the best young defensive backs in the NFL. Like I said, an all-pro and really a difference maker on defense. This is what the Rams needed. This is their biggest Achilles heel heading into the offseason. We know what they can do offensively. They're a top 5 unit, a Super Bowl caliber unit on that side of the football. Defensively, though, they got some horses up front, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk, but they need some guys on the perimeter that can be a little bit more sticky in coverage so that those pass rushers I just mentioned can get off and do the damn thing and show that thuggish, ruggish bone, so to speak, that the LA Rams like to play with. I think this is a massive move. I do, man. I think the Rams, it's so interesting because I was reading an article today from Andrew Marchand of The Athletic, and he's kind of like his beat. Everybody's got a beat that works for The Athletic, either cover the Rams or the 49ers. His beat is like the sports media game. And he was talking about the potential of Sean McVay as a TV analyst. And I don't know why this always comes up. Has Sean McVay done that well as a young coach for him to be considering retirement? It always pops up, the potential of him, going into the media. And I don't know why he would do that, but in that article, Marchand mentioned him as a possible replacement for Kirk Herbstreit on the Amazon Prime broadcast that you get every Thursday night. The Rams are a win-now mode is why I say that. Their future is very uncertain. Matthew Stafford, I think all signs at this current juncture, by the way, I know he's doing something right now back in studio. This is Westwood One Sports Night. Oliver, we're twinning tonight, bro, man. I had a whole lot of hesitancy about wearing this bright-ass yellow that I'm wearing. You can peep my yellow, and eventually at some point tonight you can peep.
But I didn't notice it until you were doing your open, and I was like, he has good
Look at us. Come on, baby. It is our mutual affinity for the DMV, brother. We're on the same wavelength. Oliver's going to take your calls all night long. 310-840-4910. The other thing that's fascinating with the Rams is that idea that, they have to win now. And I think that is the mentality that they have as a franchise. It has to do with the uncertainty of Matthew Stafford at quarterback. For whatever reason, doesn't seem like Sean McVay is in this thing for the super-duper long run, meaning if they can have some more success, he may eventually call it quits. But I'll say this, whether they have Matthew Stafford or not, I think organizationally from top down, the Rams, starting with, the Cronkies, they are one of the best run organizations in all of pro sports. I think it is totally awesome what we're seeing here. I think it's totally awesome what we're seeing here, from LA over the past several years, man. Like, they have turned into a legit powerhouse here in the NFC, and they don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. We're going to talk about this as we ease our way through this program tonight because I am interested. This is the type of move, and maybe I'm gassing it up. Y'all let me know. It's the type of move that I think changes the hierarchy and the balance of power within the conference. I mean, the Rams are legit. Make no mistake about it. But this was their, quite literally, their only Achilles heel. Now, if we're really going to, get petty with it and really comb through this with a fine-tooth comb, yeah, they maybe can use a speed rusher. Jared Verse is more like a power rusher. They're inside dudes, power rushers. But what they're really needing is playmakers in their secondary. And They have Emmanuel Forbes out there. Don't know if they're going to count on him. They made the trade for Roger McCreary at the trade deadline. So they understand that they have to get better. And they're still armed, ladies and gentlemen. This is the beautiful part about it. They're still armed with the number 13 overall pick. So they may go cornerback again. Or, depending on how free agency works, maybe a Kenyon Sadiq at 13 overall. He lit up the combine this past weekend in Indianapolis. But I want to give credit, though, to the Rams as an organization. And like I said, I think they're one of the best run organizations, and not just the NFL, but in all pro sports. Teams talk about it all the time, right? You can talk about it, but I want to see if you're going to be about it. What Amigos say, walk it like you talk it, right? When it comes to Les Snead, who I think is right up there with big game Howie Roseman of the Eagles and right up there with Brad Holmes of the Detroit Lions, is probably the best executive in the National Football League. This is why, despite trading the third most total picks in the NFL over the past 5 seasons, this is why they've continued to have an abundance of success in the regular season and in the postseason, and they're always in that conversation, right, to be hoisting the Lombardi at season's end. This is why they've been able to do that. They hit on draft picks. Can I read you some of their draft pick hits since 2022? Puka Nacua, who we all regard as a top 5 receiver in the National Football League, a 5th-round pick. Their starting guard, Steve Avila, a 2nd-round pick. Warren McClendon, a guy that's played a lot of starts for them as a swing tackle and a starter at times, a 5th-round pick. Kyron Williams, who we know, Pro Bowl talent at running back, 5th-round pick. Braden Fisk, one of the best young interior guys in football, 2nd-round pick. Kobe Turner, one of the best young interior guys in football, 3rd-round pick. Byron Young, 3rd-round pick, a part of that vicious pass rush that they have. Cam Kitchens, who is probably the best young piece they have in their secondary, 3rd-round pick. Quentin Lake, who played at a damn near all-pro level this past year, and you saw the drop-off in the secondary once he got hurt. It's a 6th-round pick, guys. You know what I'm saying? So they get it done when it comes to the offseason. They get it done in terms of being on the road, grinding the tape, being on campus, touching these young men, and really figuring out what drives them. What's your why? Can you come into my system? Can you come into my atmosphere, my environment, and elevate your level of play? They have done that with pretty much every young piece of talent that they've laid their hands on. That's why you got a lot of LA Rams, man. We're going to have this conversation. Excuse me. We're going to have this conversation as we roll throughout the course of the show. I think this move, as I said a moment ago, shifts the power dynamic in the hierarchy in the NFC. I know the Seahawks just won a Super Bowl. I understand that. I have all the faith in the world in them. But they got some things they got to figure out. Raheem Shaheed, they were unable to come up with a contract extension for him. He's going to hit the open market. We know how instrumental he was to their Super Bowl run. Kenneth Walker, going to hit free agency. We know how instrumental he was to their run. Tariq Woolen, going to hit free agency. You know how instrumental he was. So they have some things to figure out here when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks and how they're going to retool and defend that championship. But to me, as I sit here, what are we, about a week away, Denton, from the start of free agency? As I sit here a week away from the start of free agency, despite the Seahawks looking like for about the past 6 weeks of the NFL season, they look like the best team for a while, right? Despite that finish and despite them, reaching the mountaintop and hoisting that Lombardi at season's end, I think the NFC is wide open going into this year. As we're about to get geared up for free agency, rather, I think the NFC conference is wide the hell open. Chock full with teams out there right now heading into free agency who think if we make a move here, if we make a move there, if we get better in between the margins, we're going to have a real shot to unseat the Seattle Seahawks as the pride of the conference. That's where things sit right now. That's what they sit right now. And if you're the LA Rams, you got to be feeling that way as well. There's uncertainty around Matthew Stafford and him returning. Once they get that figured out, and it's only a matter of time, they got to be looking at themselves like, man, there was one reason last year as to why we didn't get over the hump. It was our secondary. And you have now added a top five to top 7 corner in the National Football League in Trent McDuffie. A guy that, to me, is a force multiplier on the defensive end. He makes everybody better. Here's the other part. I named you the litany of pass rushers that the LA Rams have. They've been getting after the quarterback without having real legitimate guys behind them in the back end. Imagine if they get a little bit longer to rush. You give Jarrett Verse a little bit more time. You give Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner a little bit more time. Byron Young a little bit more time. And this group on the defensive side of the football takes a step forward, and we already know that offensively with Stafford and Puka and Kyron and this offensive line that Les Snead has put together, they're a championship-level group on that side of the football. So don't look now as we sit here on the heels of free agency starting next week. Teams are moving. This is how it goes, man. You either shake a leg or lose one. Everybody's 0-0 right now. Everybody has a supreme amount of optimism that they're going to be the team that makes it to the big dance next year. The construction of your roster starts now. And the LA Rams, to me, with this move today, put the rest of the National Football League and the rest of the NFC on notice, including their division rival, the Seattle Seahawks, who are losing guys while the LA Rams are adding guys. Just getting rolling, though, here on a Wednesday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night. You're locked into the youngest in Charles and Willingham, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Bunch of different ways you can consume us, baby. We appreciate you being here. However you're doing it, we nudge you. Not a beg. I ain't begging tonight. I'm nudging tonight. We nudge you to subscribe and check out the program on YouTube nightly for long-form content, YouTube Shorts, and then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 4 hours in its entirety. So why else would you not want to? Or why else would you want to subscribe to Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube? A lot more to get to, including a guest stopping by. I know you're probably thinking, damn, we're only hearing one voices on Wednesday night. Do not worry. Do not worry. I got him in the chamber. He's ready to go. He's been chomping at the bit all night long to join the program. My better half, the king of North Kakalaki, Josh Graham, joins us next here on Westwood One Sports Night. This portion of the show brought to you by our pals at Progressive Commercial Insurance to protect small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com.
Every team, every player, every story, every angle. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Here I go. Youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Right here on a Wednesday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night. It's the People Show. You know how to get at me, 310-840-4910. You can hit me up on social media as well. Same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. The super producer, Denton Day, with us tonight. Oliver, I love when you come back with this song in particular, by the way. It gets me going. So shout out to you, pal. I know you're probably thinking like, wow, it's a Wednesday night. Normally on Wednesdays, you can hear up to 4 voices, on this program. Well, Josh basically said, screw all of you. He doesn't want to do the show anymore. No, he was doing the Lord's work, baby. Filling in earlier this afternoon with our guy Adam Abdallah on Black and Abdallah, which you can hear Monday through Friday, 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time right here on Westwood One Sports. And the brother's so dedicated. This is what happened when you're the king or something now. You have dedication. He wanted to join us here tonight. What's going on, Kang? You look different when I know you've done radio earlier today.
Man.
And you're on the right side on the stream, too, which is totally different. By the way, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and find us on YouTube.
Do all of those things because you said it well last night. Okay, we made it to 500. I told Denton Day we're going to get to 1,000 by the end of the NCAA tournament. That's going to happen. When I'm at Duke, Carolina this weekend, we'll have exclusive video. When I go to the Final Four in Indianapolis, we're going to be hitting 1K. So help us do that. There's something you need to know, Linnell, and you probably already know this because you are on the show. You're a loyal listener as well when you're not on it. Throughout this college basketball season, I have had a running list of teams that can win the national title. It started with 18.
Which I thought was very generous, by the way, to start off. But I like that you're collecting evidence. You're getting more data points. I get it.
Here's the point. Once you're off the list, you don't get back on the list.
Oh, sookie, okay.
So 18 was where we were at a few weeks ago. And then Richie Saunders goes down at BYU. JT Toppin goes down at Texas Tech. You write those teams off. Last Friday night, D-Day and I were watching Illinois lose another home game against Michigan. So we wrote off Illinois. They don't play enough defense. And this weekend had to write off Virginia. They score 51 points. All 9 of their newcomers are either freshmen or transfers. That's just not going to happen with a first-year coach. So they're a write-off. Just writing off teams. And I got to 11 going into this week. Down to 11, all that remains. And Linnell Willingham.
Uh-oh. Are you about to stab me in the heart?
Could say we have a write-off. Last night, the Kansas Jayhawks are officially a write-off. We're down to 10.
I knew that you were going to go that way. I made a confession last night that absolutely pained me. I sat here on this program, and you'd be proud of me. You're saying, I'm having such an influence on you, huh, Linnell? Yes, you are, Josh Graham. And I'm also just looking at it objectively, despite what you think. The Kansas Jayhawks are a better basketball team when Darren Peterson is not on the floor. When you see how passive Council and Smith get while DP is on the floor and the other guys, and the way that the ball sticks and you don't have the same movement, I think they're better without them. To write them off.
Well, hold on a sec. It's a very astute point you're making, and I want to go a step further with it. I think the lack of time of him being out there really affects Kansas because he's not the type of player that's easy to integrate back in because of how ball dominant of a player that he is. When we talk about, do you know who isn't a write-off? North Carolina, who's won 3 in a row. Caleb Wilson could come back this weekend, and you might think, well, Josh, you just said that Darren Peterson's absence is really going to cost Kansas. When you watch Caleb Wilson play basketball, this is the type of guy that you can just drop in there because he's not nearly as ball dominant, and it could only elevate North Carolina. So when you point to some of the analytics that say Kansas is a better basketball team at times, when Darren Peterson's not out there, some are going to hear that and think that sounds like madness, but there are numbers behind it, and there's actual basketball sense and chemistry sense that back that up too.
Yeah, it's fascinating, man. It hurts me because, I like DP. I think he's going to end up being a fine pro. His college career has been a big mystery to this point. Here's the 2 teams that I want to ask you about that I think are for sure on your list. I know they're on your list. I want to ask you who you prefer. And what I think they both have in common is guys that return from last year's roster. I think the best 5 teams in college basketball all have that in common. I think they have, significant pieces of their rotation that come back from a year ago. When you look at Houston and UConn, and I know Houston's playing in the big, bad Big 12, who I've been saying, by the way, Josh Graham, is the best conference in college basketball all year. Are you willing to concede to that yet?
Sure.
My guy. See? You know what I'm saying? I conceded on Darren Peterson. No key tonight. You conceded on the Big 12. There we go. Let's give and take in this relationship.
After writing off Virginia and seeing Louisville roll back the way they have and not having a lot of certainty with Caleb Wilson, I will say yes, the Big 12 is the best conference in college basketball.
So when it comes down to UConn and Houston, and I don't know how you view the 2 schools, I still, at this point, would take Houston as, to me, the better basketball team right now, but I think UConn's rolling, obviously. When you look at those 2 teams, who do you think's got a better shot of going all the way, or do you look at them as kind of even here?
Let me circle back to that. Let me put a pin in that, because I might answer your question in a sense by just going through the 3 tiers I have for the 10 teams that remain.
Okay.
The 10 teams that can win the national championship on my list, which means it would be stunning to me if anybody not on this list wins a national title. There's the big 3 at the top in this order: Duke, Arizona, Michigan. The next 3, we'll call them the checks all the right boxes tier. That's UConn, that's Houston, that's Florida. And then there are 4 teams I solely put in the can't write them off yet category, which means in some ways I'm tempted to, but the resume and the roster is such that I just can't do it yet. Iowa State, Gonzaga, North Carolina, and D-Day is going to shake his head so hard at this, Nebraska.
A Big Ten school? I'm going to shake my head at that. Come on,
Nebraska's
man.
still there, Day. I'm sorry. I can't do it to Fred Hoiberg yet. That squad plays defense. That's what they do. Listen to the way Mick Cronin was talking about him last night. They play D.
What is Mick?
I love it.
That angry man. That angry man.
You raising your voice at me? So to get back to your question about Houston and UConn.
You have them in the same tier.
I do. I like Houston's roster better. I had concerns watching them in the first half against Baylor tonight, but then they just have the ability to put the clamps on teams. And frankly, Houston's has my favorite makeup of the country. I love Kelvin Sampson. He's been to multiple Final Fours. He was the national runner-up a year ago. You've got Uzan, and you have Sharp back and Tugler, and you have a top 5 draft pick at guard, and guards winning the tournament. Like, that's the team I look at, especially with the way they play defense. Yeah. That, frankly, when I look at odds presented by our friends at DraftKings, they have the best value. I think they're longer than 10-1 odds to win it right now. I love this Houston team, but they had the 3-game losing streak. I need to see them piece together some games, and they do have a little runway. They play on Saturday, of course, and then in the Big 12 tournament. If they win the Big 12 tournament, don't be surprised if I'm returning to these airwaves with you and talking about Houston as the favorite to win the national championship. I don't think UConn defends nearly as well.
I think it's fascinating. Man, as we get ready for conference tournament season and we get ready to inch towards Selection Sunday, is there a player to you that you think has the most gravity out of all of the stars in the country? And it may not mean he's the best player in the country, but he has the biggest impact on his team.
It's Cam Boozer. And when you look at his background, it's amazing what we do pushing back on winning, like how important aesthetic is to us. And there's something about the way
you gotta have aura with your winning now, Josh.
See, because what's crazy is all that guy does is win. He won Mr. USA Basketball consecutive years before arriving at Duke. Do you want to know the last player to do that? His name was LeBron James. And then Boozer goes to Duke.
Well, hold on. That's why. Can I just? We're not comparing him to LeBron.
No,
in fashion.
I'm saying.
I'm just making sure.
If you do something that hasn't been done since LeBron James, that is something that should raise your eyebrows. And then Cooper Flagg was the best college player I've ever seen at Duke, freshman-wise. Best freshman, even better than Zion. Cam Boozer's having an even better season than Cooper Flagg just had. Yeah. He's the best player in the country. So it's weird to say this about the guy who plays for the number 1 team and is going to win the National Player of the Year, but I feel we don't talk about him enough because the comps that he receives feels, frankly, disrespectful.
What comp do you not like?
Tyler Hansborough.
Wait, come on. Stop.
I
like Kevin Love as a comp. I like Kevin Love as a comp.
I like that too because he is a tremendous passer, and I think that is respectful. But when I hear Hansborough, there are going to be some who say, well, Josh, he is the all-time leading scorer in the ACC. It's not – well, we're talking about NBA comps, and Tyler Hansborough didn't do much in the NBA. So
Didn't do anything.
Loser's the answer to that question. But you tell me, how would you rank in terms of checking boxes for your bracket, which is a totally different answer than who do you think the best team is? We're talking about equipped for March. How would you rank that big three of Duke, Arizona, Michigan?
Man. I think I would rank Arizona first because I think they've got the best guard out of all three of those schools in Burries.
I'm with you.
I think they can defend their tail off. I love what they have on the interior and what they were able to do to the Kansas front court this past weekend, which is outright disrespectful, the way that they dominated the glass and their length, the switchability. Yeah, they're legit. I would go Arizona. What do you think about how significant? I'll have a question for you. How significant do you think the loss is of Michigan's six-man?
Kaysen. Yeah. It's a big deal for this reason. The reason why I'm not going to pick Michigan to win the national championship. They can win it. That's why they're on the list. I will not.
I know you. I knew you were picking
what the matchup.
I knew you
because. No, I like Arizona more than I like Duke. I have Arizona.
Soccer, okay.
I have Arizona right there at the top. I do because of what you said about Burries and Bradley. And Koa Pete inside. I love this Arizona team more than I like Duke. The problem is guards win in March. The 3 or 4 best players on Michigan are in the front court, and Elliot Cadeau's your point guard. And there's no way that dude is going to have 6 straight games where he's playing awesome. He's going to have a game where he struggles, and that's going to be compounded by the fact that Kaysen is your backup point guard, which means you're going to be asking more of Cadeau now without Kaysen being out there. So I think that just reaffirms my belief that even though Michigan has this great roster, and if it was like the NBA playoffs where you play best of 7 series, they might grind out 4 straight series where they win best of 7. That's not what this format is, and I don't think it tailors itself well to Michigan. So I would put Michigan third out of those 3 too.
I want to let you go on this. This is Westwood One Sports Night. Linnell Willingham with Josh Graham stopping by tonight. You can check him out tomorrow, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Westwood One Sports, co-hosting Bleck and Abdallah with our guy Adam Abdallah. Not to say I told you so, but I told you so, Josh Graham. What did I tell you about? What did I tell you about?
The Hornets? Yeah.
That's why I'm wearing yellow tonight, baby. Those damn Hornets. Those Hornets. Josh,
I saw LaMelo's one-legged three.
Yeah, from deep. Shot that from Chino Hills. From deep, Josh Graham. Some numbers real quick on those stubborn, pesky Hornets, man, who are surging up the standings right now in the Eastern Conference. They were 12 games under 500 on January the 21st. Mm-hmm. They are now 32-31. They have now won, 16 out of their last 19? They're going crazy right now. And what I love about it the most, and I would love to get your take here on this quickly as we're up against it, everyone's chipping in. LaMelo's defending. It felt like there was a spat between him and Charles Lee. I think that was the turning point in this season. I truly believe that. I think now Melo's on board. Con Knippel's still shooting the ball from the perimeter tremendously. You got a big spark tonight off the bench from Kobe White, something that I expect to, continue here as we go throughout the stretch run of the season. We know what they have on the interior. Brandon Miller's getting in on the scoring. They're as balanced of an attack right now as anybody in the East.
Number 1 offense since the calendar flipped to 2026, the 7th-ranked defense, which is the reason why they're winning the games. And at the center of it, maybe the most unsung hero of the NBA this year, get your antlers up, is Moussa Diabate. The way he plays defense and adds grit to this team that going into the year lacked a 5-man, that he deserves a lot of love. And this is crazy. The 3 players since the calendar flipped to 2026 that lead the NBA, the top 3 guys in hitting threes this calendar year, are named LaMelo Ball, Con Knippel, Brandon Miller. Across the NBA, not on the Hornets. 3 leading 3-point makers this calendar year, 2026, are all playing for the Charlotte Hornets right now. And I'm not going to the place where I talk about comparisons to the Indiana Pacers a year ago. I'm not going there, but it is worth noting that the Charlotte Hornets, I think they're the only team in the NBA that has been around as long as they have, certainly, without an Eastern Conference Finals appearance in their history. They haven't won a playoff series in 25 years. They haven't been to the playoffs altogether in 10. This is turning into a really good story for a league that really needs good stories right now.
Yeah, it is tremendous. I cannot wait. Final month of the regular season is upon us here in the NBA. The games mean a little bit more as teams continue to jockey for playoff positioning. A lot more to get to here on Westwood One Sports Night. Bunch of different ways you can check us out, including on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel for long-form content of the show, YouTube Shorts, and then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 4 hours in its entirety. Cardi B's man is looking for a job. Tell you where I think he should play next.
The Cowboys place the franchise tag on George Pickens. What comes next? Do they sign him long-term? Or trade the stud wideout to another team? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
What up? Westwood One Sports Night continues with the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. It's the People Show. You know how to get at me, baby. 310-840-4910 is how you do it on the phones. Make sure you're nice to our guy Oliver so he continues to play the funky tunes coming back from break. You can hit us up on YouTube and X as well. Same handle on every social media platform at NELL_BTP. You can check out the live stream on X and on YouTube. On YouTube, just make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Search Westwood One Sports Night. You can get long-form content of the show, YouTube shorts, and then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 4 hours in its entirety. We're growing like a wild Samoan here on Westwood One Sports Night when it comes to the YouTube channel, baby. The numbers are out of here, baby. Out of this world. So shout out to you guys continuing to make this program a part of your night each and every evening. I tease it going into break. Cardi B's man doesn't have a job. That does not mean that Offset is not with a record label. That does not mean that Offset is unemployed. I'm talking about Stefon Diggs, Cardi B's new man. Well, based on the dirt sheets that I've read, maybe you all can help me out in the chat on YouTube. Is Cardi and Stefon Diggs together still? Is that like a real thing? I've heard rumors of them potentially breaking up. Diggsy, baby, look, I know you know, right? You've done well with your life. You made it to the NFL, brother. You've been a successful NFL player. You better not let Cardi go. That's not the one to play about.
I think you're going to be sad.
No.
I don't think they're together anymore. On respectful terms. But she had to focus on herself, had to focus on the kid.
Yeah. Well, kids, plural.
Kids, plural, but yeah, they have one together.
They have adorable kids, though, by the way. So shout out to them. But no, Stefon Diggs, really not a surprise that he was released. So his cap hit this past year during his first year in New England, $10 million. That skyrockets to $26 million for the 2026 season. And the Patriots saying, we're good, Slim. I want to look at this thing from both angles, right? We're going to start with Stefon Diggs. He, to me, last year, during the regular season at least, showed he's got a lot left in the tank. Now, in the postseason, if we're being frank, he was an utter disappointment in the postseason, especially in that Super Bowl. I kept looking for him, like, where is Stefon Diggs? Where is Stefon Diggs? Nowhere to be found. He can still play, though. Right? Last year he signed on a 3-year, $69 million deal. And this past year, the numbers that he put up, right? 85 receptions, a hair over 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, 12 yards of reception. Like, the numbers for Stefon Diggs this year were pretty good. He had 51 receptions that went for a first down. That was the most since 2022, his final year in Buffalo. So, like, Diggsy turned back the clock a little bit and showed that, hey, I could ball. The question is for Stefon Diggs, where do you go next? I don't think that he's a wide receiver 1 in this league anymore. I think he's probably, though, in the right situation, the best complementary receiver in football, one of them at least. You put him in that same ilk as Jordan Addison and T. Higgins when it comes to if you're viewing him like a wide receiver too. I think he's showed that this year with him being the guy that, drew the number one cornerback each and every week. So when it comes to him and we think about potential destinations, it gets fascinating because I think if you're Stefon Diggs, you want to win now. Do you go back to Buffalo? Do you go back to Buffalo if you're Stefon Diggs? They need a legitimate wide receiver one. So I don't think he fits the bill there. So I'm gonna say no to the Bills. Another team that I keep thinking about for Diggs is the Pittsburgh Steelers. DK Metcalf, the bona fide number one. You put Diggs in the slot and allow him to work. And I'm not saying that should be the only move. Steeler fans out there are probably saying, this guy doesn't give a rat's ass about us. He's got Stefon Diggs as our upgrade that we desperately need at wide receiver. No, you pierogi-eating monsters. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he'd be a good complementary piece in addition to drafting a guy at 22 overall. But here's the best destination for me for Stefon Diggs. I think there's one destination, and maybe I'm crazy, that stands out above all for several different reasons. What I think Diggs showed you this past year in New England is that not only does he have gas left in the tank, I think he's a leader. I think he's a guy that young guys look up to. I think he's a guy that you want to rally around. I think he's a guy that is an excellent teammate. There are two destinations I really, really like for him. One of those destinations, he fits that role that I just mentioned. What about him helping Coach Harbaugh instill their new culture in New York with the Giants as a complimentary guy at the wide receiver spot? Not saying it would take them out of the market for a receiver at number 5, but like having him come in and being a cheap upgrade over Wan'Dale Robinson, who's probably going to get overpaid in free agency based off of production and age. So Stefon Diggs, to me, he will have a job next year. He is still a bona fide number 2 and number 3 that can work out the slot. What New England needs is a guy at the X that can beat man-to-man coverage routinely, and where Drake May can just look to that side, and whenever it's one-on-one coverage, he gets the rock. He needed that desperately in the Super Bowl. Desperately. Devon Witherspoon has Stefon Diggs in hell. Point blank. Patriots need upgrades at the wide receiver spot. I know A.J. Brown is a name that continuously gets linked, to the New England Patriots because of the familiarity with Coach Vrabel. Okay. New England, you're going to have to give up something to get him. Wherever New England decides to go at receiver, it's going to cost them. Alec Pierce is the other name that continues to get brought up. And now that George Pickens is not going to hit the open market because he gets tagged, that only drives up the price and market value of Alec Pierce. So it's fascinating to me, Slim. I really don't know which way New England's going to go. I do know this about the Patriots. I don't think their playoff run was a fluke in terms of what we saw out of Drake May. I think this team regresses to the mean during the 2026 season. I think this team regresses to the mean during the 2026 season. You're going to now be playing a first-place schedule. You're not going to be playing that last-place schedule that you played before. Team's got another year of tape on you. I don't think they fall off of a cliff. I wouldn't be talking about them. I wouldn't be talking about them as the cream of the crop when it comes to the top of the AFC. That's just not how I look at them at this current juncture. Yes, they punched their ticket to the big dance. Yes, they think they have the quarterback. But I think last year the New England Patriots were a year too early. One team that for damn sure is in their right now Super Bowl window is the LA Rams. They made a move earlier this afternoon that for damn sure put the rest of the conference on notice. I'll tell you what that is next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Still kicking it to you here on a Wednesday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham. I'll get you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Number to get at me, 310-840-4910. You can hit me up on social media as well. It is at NELL_BTP on each and every social media platform. We encourage you to, get at us on YouTube as well, baby. Like, subscribe, and comment to Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. You can get long-form content of the show, individual segments, YouTube shorts, and then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 4 hours in its entirety. A couple of folks checking in via the chat. Richie, this is a new channel, brother. This is a new station. This is the new host. This is new everything. Everything new when it comes to Westwood One Sports Night. We appreciate you all helping us grow the program. Proven B 5764 types in the YouTube chat. Lions trade Goff, Amon-Ra for Crosby in the third. Well, who the hell is going to play quarterback, pal? I do think that the Detroit Lions are going to be one of the teams that are in on Max Crosby. If they don't land Max Crosby, I don't see the Detroit Lions having a particularly good year in 2026. Their offensive line is going through major flux right now, and the only reason that that's relevant is in this hour, we're going to talk about it, man. I think the LA Rams, with the move that they made earlier this afternoon, acquiring Trent McDuffie from the Kansas City Chiefs, that move to me should be putting the rest of the conference on notice. Point blank, that move to me should put the rest of the NFC on notice because the Rams are showing you better than they can tell you. They feel like they are just as good as Seattle. And through watching the 3 games that they played against each other last year, I think they have an argument and a leg to stand on when it comes to that conversation. And the Seattle Seahawks here throughout, the course of the offseason looks like a team that may be getting worse. Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP. They chose not to give him the franchise tag. He's probably going to be gone via free agency because another team's going to overpay. You look at a guy like Raheem Shaheed, who was so instrumental to the second half run that Seattle went on. He's a guy that they didn't give the tag to that's probably going to get overpaid in free agency as a younger wide receiver that's got production and special teams value at that. Rick Woolen, their starting corner, opposite Devon Witherspoon. He's a guy that's going to be lost via free agency. So, yes, the Seattle Seahawks were the best team in the NFL last year. Going into this year, I don't even know if they're the best team in the NFC. If we're looking at the National Football League right now, pre-free agency, who's the best team in the NFC? 310-840-4910. You can hit me up on the phones with that. You can get at me on YouTube with that. Just search Westwood One Sports Night and hop into the live stream. Here's the thing. I don't think it's Seattle. If you had to ask me what was more likely next year, Seattle going back to the Super Bowl or the field, I'm taking the field. I'm taking the field for another reason. How does Clint Kubiak look? How does Sam Darnold look without Clint Kubiak? Can Sam Darnold replicate last year's success? History says that this is who he is now. You saw him do it in Minnesota, and then you saw him do it this past year with Seattle. So history tells you this is probably who Sam Darnold is right now. My question is not so much about the Seahawks. It's about the rest of the conference. And I think that conversation has to begin, and it's fitting that it begins with the LA Rams. The LA Rams silently, I don't even want to say silently, for the better part of the 2020s, have been the top dog in the conference. When they've been healthy at quarterback with Matthew Stafford, they've been the top dog in the conference. They're always in the conversation. And what you saw today is Les Snead showing why he is arguably the best general manager in all the National Football League. You're going to talk about Howie Roseman, Big Game Howie, as I like to call him, up in Philly. You're going to talk about Brad Holmes, the GM of the Detroit Lions. And then Les Snead's got to be right in that conversation, man. The Rams don't retool, or don't rebuild, rather. They retool. They keep going. They do not rebuild. They acquired Trent McDuffie and address really the only weakness on their football team. This offensive line, one of the better ones in the NFL when they're healthy. The receiver duo with Tay Adams and Puka Nacua, arguably the best in football. What they have at tight end with the trio of dudes that they have at that position, one of the best tight end rooms in all of football. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, one of the best running back duos in football. Their pass rush with Kobe Turner and Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, they can get after you. What they're missing is a legit playmaker and a dog, a force multiplier at the cornerback spot. They tried to get it at the trade deadline when they acquired Roger McCreary. Trent McDuffie is in a different stratosphere. There are 4 defensive backs with 25-plus passes defensed, 15-plus QB hits, and 10-plus tackles for loss since 2022. Only 4 defensive backs to accomplish that. Antoine Winfield Jr. of the Bucs, Derwin James of the Chargers, Kyle Hamilton of the Ravens, and Trent McDuffie, now of the LA Rams. McDuffie, as you notice, the only corner on that list. He is, without a shadow of a doubt, probably the toughest cornerback in the National Football League. You know, corners are known as divas, you know what I'm saying? With Trent McDuffie, it's like a French bulldog. I want Trent McDuffie walking with me through a dark alley at night. I know if I got Trent by my side, I got a chance to get up out of there. And it's so crazy to look at it from Kansas City's perspective because they've kind of had this habit of moving on from premier guys at corner. You saw it with Charvarius Ward. You saw it with Marcus Peters. And now you're seeing it with Trent McDuffie. But I think this says more about the Rams than it does about the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs angle of things, I don't think it's a good move for them. I don't think they get better making this move, but they know what they're doing when it comes to their roster construction. For the LA Rams, man, what's the flaw of their football team? What's the Achilles heel right now of the LA Rams? I don't think they have one. They're a group right now to me that on paper looks flawless. LA gives up pick number 29, the 5th overall pick in this year's draft. Their 5th round pick in this year's draft, their 6th round pick in this draft, and then next year's 3rd to acquire Trent McDuffie. Because Les Snead is such a player, the Rams still have pick number 13 in the draft via the Atlanta Falcons, who tangoed with the Rams last offseason to go up and get James Pierce. So, hey, look, I like the move for the LA Rams, and I think it should put the rest of the conference on notice here. Who do you think is going to be the best team in the NFC in 2026? 310-840-4910. I think, and I let off the show with this, I think the conference is as wide open as it's been in a while. I know what Seattle did, and I know how I'm talking about the Rams. Those aren't the only 2 teams that I put in that conversation to go, you know what, Slim? Maybe, just maybe, there are some other teams in this conference that we're totally overlooking. You can help me out with that at 310-840-4910. I want you to lock in with us as well on YouTube. You can check us out live there, streaming nightly. Just make sure you search Westwood One Sports Night, like, subscribe, and comment. Look, there are a couple teams that I'm going to go to bat for tonight in the NFC that we don't really talk about. Because it feels like the conversation has been on Seattle and LA, rightfully so. But there are some other teams within this conference that I think have the personnel 1 through 53 to make a run. Proven B, you got to chill. Is this a North Carolina plant? Proven B says the Panthers. Sorry, brother. No chance in hell. Word to Vince McMahon. The Panthers might not even make the playoffs next year. Don't tell Josh that. They might not even make the postseason next year. Bryce Young is not a starter in this league. Sorry. Who's the best team in the NFC as we get geared up for the start of free agency next week? 310-840-4910. It's the number. The Rams made a really strong push for that this afternoon by trading for all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie. They give up pick number 29 overall. They give up their 5th-round pick in this year's draft. They give up a 3rd-round pick in 2027 and also a 6th-round pick in this year's draft. Does this move catapult the Rams to the best team in the conference as we get geared up for free agency? 310-840-4910. Dave is in Chicago wanting to chime in. Dave, welcome in to Westwood One Sports Night, brother. Who do you think is the best team in the conference as we get geared up for free agency here?
Well, I'll tell you that in a minute, but what I want to say is, first of all, I think Stefon Diggs will be a good replacement for Mike Evans in Tampa if Mike Evans does move on.
That's interesting.
And
they got a lot of bodies there in Tampa, though. They got Godwin.
Yeah.
They got Emeka Egbuka.
If they stay healthy, they should be. If Tampa Bay stays healthy, they're the best team in the NFC. But let me tell you something. One more thing, then I'm going to tell you what I really call for. My Super Bowl pick, big brother versus little brother, Broncos, Buccaneers. That's my Super Bowl pick. But anyway,
Broncos
I'm sure
and Buccaneers.
I'm not the only one that wants to.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm not the only one that wants to hear this, but how about an update on the esthetician girl you've been texting?
Oh, yeah.
That's what we all want to know.
I know, I know that's what the streets want, right? The streets want to know what's going on in my love life. Hey, look, man, I'll just say this, man. If you listen to me nightly, you know that I'm a respectable, handsome young man that is honorable and good in character and a man of God.
I got the perfect nickname for you.
What's that?
You're the love dog.
The love dog. The love dog.
Why are you the love dog?
Why am I the love dog?
You got a girl, and you want her to pet you.
Dave, you cutting up, man. We got to let Dave go. I appreciate you chiming in, man. 310-840-4910, man. I told y'all, man, you miss a day, you miss a lot here on Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge of Willingham. I'll get you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. The big-time blockbuster news of the afternoon in the National Football League. Les Snead and the Rams at it again, saying the hell with them picks. They give up pick number 29 and a couple of day 3 picks to acquire all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie. To me, this puts the rest of the NFC on notice. We're a week out from the start of free agency. As we get geared up for the new league year, who's the best team in the NFC in your mind going into free agency? 310-840-4910. Rex Brown getting at us in the YouTube chat. What up, Rex? Great that you're on YouTube. It works well for me. Brother, if it works well for you, then you know it works well for me. So get at us, man, however you want to do so here on this program.
If it works well for you, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your brother, tell your sister, tell your best friend, tell everybody.
I want this thing I want this thing to spread like mono at a college party. Everybody's catching it. Everybody needs Westwood One Sports Night in their life. I've never had mono, by the way. I don't get down like that, despite what Dave in Chicago, man, said. I don't get down like that. I am down always to interject positivity into the show, and it's about that time. Mr. Positive, Greg out in Michigan, wanting to check in. I know you've got thoughts on who the best team in the conference is going into free agency. What's going on, Greg? How are you, brother?
Hey, Linnell. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I think you're spot on about the Rams. I just feel like you and I talked last night about the Detroit Lions, and you're right. It's just not going to go anywhere, and I just feel bad. Can I bring up the Pistons real quick?
Go ahead. I'll let you do that quickly.
I just feel that they're not going to go well. They might win the first playoff series. Here's the thing, and it's been bandied about here in Detroit with 97 won the ticket, and we don't have a three-point shooter. So we don't.
You have multiple, though, Greg. Yeah, Duncan Robinson shooting the cover off the basketball. Here's what I'll say to ease your mind about the Pistons real quick, because I actually care about Detroit. They've played their best basketball all season long. They're letting go of the rope a little bit right now. as we're entering the final month of the regular season. Nobody wants to see that group in the playoffs. They punch people in the face. I love them.
You're right, but we're in the bottom 5 of the worst three-point shooters teams in the league. We just don't have consistency, and we're losing by 10 to 15 points, and that's where we make it up with our 3 points, our three-point shot, and we just don't have it on a consistent level.
Yeah, I think there's validity to that.
I thank you, my friend. Hey, thanks for taking my call. And
yes, indeed,
go
brother.
For your dreams. You bet. Bye.
That is Mr. Positive. I got Greg in Michigan giving it to us on the Detroit Lions, dishing on who the best team in the NFC is. That's what I want your calls on right now at 310-840-4910. YouTube chat is popping, baby. What do you expect, though? You know how we get down here on Westwood One Sports Night. Our guy Tony Villamontes tweets at us or types in the YouTube chat. Good evening. Born and raised in Detroit, now living in Massachusetts. My Lions are going to the Super Bowl. Just as long as we don't play your Commanders, go Lions. Guess what, brother? The Commanders aren't going to the Super Bowl, and the Lions aren't going to the Super Bowl. I think the Lions may miss the postseason for a second consecutive season. I think when you look at the retooling that's going on up front along their offensive line, I worry about that. Because if you can't keep Jared Goff upright, if you can't protect Jared Goff, your ass is grass. And then the other piece is this. How do you replace Knuckles, David Montgomery? He added a level of toughness and physicality to what Detroit had offensively. With them losing Graham Glasgow and losing other guys up front, I worry about the Detroit Lions, man. I really do, especially when you're playing in arguably the best division in all of the National Football League, talking about the NFC North. 310-840-4910 is the number. I want your calls on who you think the best team in the NFC is as we get geared up for the start of free agency next week. Some people are going to say the Rams, who made a blockbuster trade earlier this afternoon to acquire Trent McDuffie. There's one team that's being totally overlooked in the conference. I'll tell you who that is next here on Westwood One Sports Night. This portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com.
The Seahawks are letting Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker walk. The 25-year-old is coming off a 1,000-yard season and is now a free agent at the peak of his powers. Who gets him? We'll tell you every move as it happens. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Okay. Banger coming back from the break. You can tell that there's been a change at the board up. It's getting old school in here tonight. And I can dig that. I'm versatile when it comes to the rejoin music. It's a staple of the program here. You're locked into Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Number to get at me, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. You can check us out streaming live and nightly on YouTube. Just make sure you search Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment. You can get long-form content of the show, YouTube Shorts, and then all 4 hours in its entirety at the end of this bad boy. The Rams made a move earlier this afternoon, trading for all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie. I think it puts the rest of the conference on notice. The Rams should be talked about as one of the conference's elite, but the Philadelphia Eagles, to me, are the most overlooked team right now in the entire NFC heading into 2026. And no, they should not trade their all-pro caliber wide receiver, A.J. Brown. I think the 2026 Philadelphia Eagles are going to live and die by the young man under center named Jalen Hurts. He must perform. There is maybe no quarterback in the NFL under more pressure heading into 2026? Because we've really pointed the finger at everyone else when it comes to Philadelphia. We're trying to trade A.J. Brown. We're trying to fire Nick Sirianni. But Jalen Hurts, to me, is the constant that remains. New offensive coordinator Sean Mannion comes from that Shanahan-McVay coaching tree. I expect Jalen Hurts to be put under center more, and I expect Philadelphia to get back to the identity that got them in the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 seasons, running the damn football. Last year, the Eagles had the 15th ranked rushing attack in football. Year prior, when they won the bowl, number 1 rushing attack in the NFL. I think they play a pistol too much. I think they need to put Jalen Hurts under center and allow Saquon Barkley to be the force multiplier that he is on the offensive side of the football. I'm laughing because this is what we do in sports talk radio. I mean, I'm listening to myself talk for 4 hours. I think I may have stumbled across a new favorite phrase. Force multiplier. Begging that off several times here tonight. But no, like in reality, Philly has all of the ingredients of a championship team. Their defense is still a legit top 10 unit in the National Football League. They have the all-pro at every level. Jalen Carter, all-pro caliber defensive tackle. Zach Bond was an all-pro at linebacker. Cooper DeJean, an all-pro in the secondary. Quinyon Mitchell, an all-pro in the secondary. They have legitimate dudes. This offensive line, although they lost Jeff Stoutland, who's been the architect of their big boy unit up front, they lost him, yes, but Landon Dickerson decided not to retire. Lane Johnson decided not to retire. That is a top 5 unit in football going into next year. Remind me why folks are asleep when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. Remind me why they're not being talked about in the same light as the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. The big question for Philly in 2026, which version of Jalen Hurts are you ultimately going to get? Which version of Jalen Hurts are you ultimately going to get? 310-840-4910 is the number. Who's the best team in the NFC as we get geared up for the start of free agency next week? The Rams doing their damnedest to stake their claim for the best team in the conference, making the move earlier this afternoon, acquiring all-pro cornerback Trent McDuffie from the Kansas City Chiefs. I look at Philadelphia, man. It's kind of a situation to me, though. I can say all those nice things about Philly. If Jalen Hurts doesn't get it going and doesn't turn it on this year, I don't know how many years he has left as their starter. But here's the thing about Jalen Hurts. I can even admit, right, and I call him the passenger. What did I re-nickname him to Denton last week? The purse. I compared him to a Chanel bag, to a baby Birkin. He gets carried every damn where by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he's a quarterback that you win with, not a quarterback that you win because of. But he is the most insulated guy in the NFL at the position. I firmly believe that. They're another team, talking about Philadelphia, that you need to watch for in terms of making a big swing and a big splash like the Rams did earlier this afternoon, acquiring Trent McDuffie. But the last 2 years combined for Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position, and remember, in 2024, he was banged up during their playoff run with the knee injury, and they still won the big dance. But Jalen Hurts, the last 2 years combined, has thrown 43 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. So while I'm talking about him needing to be better and having pressure on him, it's not like he's playing horrible. He just needs to be better. He's playing conservatively, playing not to make a mistake. I think he's got a problem getting through his progressions on a consistent basis. I think he's got a problem with accuracy on a down-in, down-out basis. But when you look at Jalen Hurts and what they're getting out of him, my thing is, can you be upset with it? Can you be upset with what you're getting out of Jalen Hurts? Because the reality is, you're not paying him big-time money at the position. You're not paying him some albatross of a contract. In terms of AAV, average annual value, when it comes to Jalen Hurts in his salary, he's like a middle-of-the-pack quarterback in terms of how much he is paid, in terms of how much he makes on a year-in, year-out basis. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So, if you're Philadelphia, I think what you got to figure out this year when it comes to your offense is Jalen Hurts the right guy to take you forward? Because if he's not, I don't think you need to start chopping at the supporting cast, moving on from A.J. Brown. I think the quarterback, we got to figure out, is he the right guy? 310-840-4910 is the number. Who is the best team in the NFC as we get geared up for free agency next week? The LA Rams made a big-time swing earlier this afternoon, acquiring all-pro corner Trent McDuffie. Is it them? Is it the Philadelphia Eagles, who I think are being severely overlooked? Is it the defending champion Seattle Seahawks? 310-840-4910 is the number here on Westwood One Sports Tonight. Bunch of different ways you can get at me. You can tweet at me, same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. We encourage you to hit us up and watch the show nightly on YouTube. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. You can get at us in the comments with your answer to the question of the night right now as well. Who's the best team in the NFC as we get geared up for the start of free agency? Sean is in Virginia, wanting to check in. Sean, who you got as the best team in the conference heading into free agency?
Well, I'll go ahead and just, after watching the playoffs last year, I'm not going to be a homer here. You know I'm from the DMV. I'm a Commanders fan, but
for sure,
I'm gonna say Green Bay. If there's a rumor going on that Max Crosby made it to Green Bay, they'd be trouble. But man,
wow.
my real question is, I tried to call him last night.
Yeah.
I know you're a Commanders fan, youngest in charge. I tried calling Grant and Danny today, couldn't get on with them. They're too busy down in Florida for the spring training. Why, after all this Adam Peters, and trusting Adam Peters, why are the Chiefs wheeling and dealing? I mean, they could sit back on their laurels. Why are they? I don't know who their general manager is and making these trades.
Brett Veach, one of the best in the game. Are you about to ask why the Commanders haven't been active? Free agency hasn't started yet.
Why can't we do a trade like that? Back in the day,
we don't have anybody that anybody wants.
I understand that, but there's got to be some sort of to circumvent that. Maybe we can package something up. I don't know.
I think you're wishing upon the star. Next week is the week for Adam Peters and company to shine, brother. I appreciate the call as always. 310-840-4910. Does Washington belong in this conversation? No, right? Would you all call me a homer? I don't think I can create a scenario in my head in which Washington is the best team in the conference. I don't even think I can create it in my head. They got a lot of holes to fill, as do some other teams, man, including the Rams, who, like Sean said, Kansas City didn't rest on their laurels. Neither did the Rams. A year after going to the conference championship, they're right back on it, wheeling and dealing, acquiring Trent McDuffie, the best nickel corner in the game, from the Kansas City Chiefs. As I look at this Rams roster 1 through 53, I don't think they have a hole now that they've acquired Trent McDuffie. Who's the best team in the NFC as we get geared up for free agency? Is it the Rams? Is it the Eagles, as I just mentioned? You can hit me up on the phones with that, 310-840-4910. You can get at me on YouTube as well. Just search Westwood One Sports Night to stream the show nightly. Josh is in Miami. Checking in. Josh, what's going on, bro, man? Welcome in.
What's going on, fam? 2 days in a row.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man.
As far as the best team in the NFC, we know that's the Seahawks. Unless they do something stupid and get rid of Kenneth Walker.
Well, he is an unrestricted free agent now, as well as Raheed Shaheed. So they're getting worse, as well as Tariq Woolen. So they're at a spot right now where they're staring the reality in the face of losing 3 starters.
I hear you on that. But as long as they keep Kenneth Walker and they got JSN, and they stay away from the injuries, they should be okay. I still feel like to be the best in the conference, you got to beat the best.
I agree with that for the most part.
As far as Philly goes, they had the number one rushing offense, not this season, but the season before, because Saquon went crazy. All they did was hand the ball off, and the man was off for 40, 50-yard runs. You're not going to get that production every single season.
This is what I think the problem was. They had a new offensive coordinator this year. They lost Kellen Moore to the Saints. Their offensive coordinator couldn't push the right buttons to get the most out of Jalen Hurts in the passing game. So as a result, the running game took a step back. We'll see, though. Josh, I appreciate you as always, man. Enjoy the rest of your night. 310-840-4910. The Eagles conversation is honestly fascinating to me because the way that they're talked about, people want to fire Nick Sirianni. People want to trade A.J. Brown. I'm trying to bench Jalen Hurts, right? Like, the way we talk about them, it's not how you think you talk about a team that's been in the Super Bowl in 2 out of the past 3 seasons. Philadelphia, definitely a team that I think is being overlooked when it comes to the rest of the landscape in the NFC. James is in Georgia, wants to check in. James, welcome into Westwood One Sports Night.
Oh, no, hope you're doing good.
Doing good,
I
man.
think the Seahawks are going to be the main team. And Linnell, I had 2 things I wanted to ask you real quick. With Atlanta, do you think it'd be well off to go ahead and just get rid of Michael Penix altogether and call up the 49ers and say, what do you need for Mac Jones? We're going to make it happen. But you got to get rid of Bijan Robinson and Drake London, Pitts. I mean, make the trade happen.
Yeah, the Falcons are in a fascinating spot, James. I wouldn't be giving up capital to get a quarterback is how I put it. I appreciate the call. Is Atlanta a team that with a significant upgrade at quarterback, do they catapult themselves into that elite tier of the NFC? Down the stretch, the Falcons were one of the best defenses in the NFL. Their signature win down the stretch was that win on Monday Night Football over the Rams. They're a team that I think legitimately is a quarterback away. Talking about the Atlanta Falcons. 310-840-4910. Who's the best team in the NFC as we get geared up for the start of free agency next week? You can hit us up on YouTube with the answer to that question as well. Just make sure you search Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. The Grand Strander says, what up, OGs, triple OGs? Just hanging after work in Dirty Myrtle. Heard my Rams being mentioned. Seattle ripped the Rams off twice this year. You saw that 2-point BS in week number 16. I think the Rams have a legitimate argument to be the best team in the NFC. They're not the only team that has a strong argument. There's one team that made some big-time moves this afternoon to clear up some money. How are they going to spend it? And who am I talking about? I'll tell you who that is next.
The Seahawks are letting Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker walk. The 25-year-old is coming off a 1,000-yard season and is now a free agent at the peak of his powers. Who gets him? We'll tell you every move as it happens. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, taking you through there all the way up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Bunch of different ways you can check us out. Sirius XM, channel 375, WestwoodOneSports.com, and the always free Westwood One Sports app. And check out the live stream on YouTube nightly. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. Like, subscribe, comment, long-form content of the show, YouTube Shorts, and then the entire 4 hours when this bad boy wraps up. Question at hand right now. Who's the best team in the NFC? The LA Rams made a move earlier that puts the whole block on notice. I remember when I was young, I used to live in Rockville, Maryland, and the house that we lived in, Man, the neighbors did it big when it came to the Christmas ornaments, when it came to Halloween. What the Rams did today is the equivalent of that annoying neighbor that always goes hard when it comes to decorating their lawn during the holiday season. The Rams have the whole damn Bible in their front yard during Christmas season. They are a flawless team, just like our Lord and Savior is flawless. But I agree, man. They have all pro at every level of their defense. Corner was the only real spot that they struggled at, and they don't have an all pro at every level. I'm exaggerating. They have a Pro Bowl caliber talent, though, at every level. Corner was their biggest Achilles heel. They sure that up by trading for Trent McDuffie of the Kansas City Chiefs. Who's the best team, though, in the NFC right now? I think the Eagles are getting overlooked as that best team, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are being totally disrespected when it comes to the top teams in the NFC. Dallas? What do you mean Dallas, Linnell? Yeah, I mean Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys have quietly made some shrewd moves here this offseason, including what they did today, clearing nearly $50 million in cap space by restructuring the contracts of Dak Prescott, Tyron Smith, and CeeDee Lamb. The big question is, well, what are they going to do with that money? Well, I don't know. You know who does know? The owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones. He had this to say about the Cowboys and their free agency plans.
The only way to push more is for me to go borrow some of my future. Okay? Expect me to go borrow some of my future. I really can't accept just the thought of winning one Super Bowl and then what? I see a chance to put a team together and basically be knocking at the edge and get another one or get a chance at another one. I would bet that we will spend more money in free agency than we have.
I look at Jerry as family nowadays, y'all. We got to look at him as like our deranged uncle that's showing up to all the functions hungover, smelling like a fifth. He's probably the first owner in pro sports to go senile on the job. Right hand to the Lord. I promise you. I think he's senile. You're not going to tell me he's not senile. But I believe him. I believe him. He eats, breathes, sleeps the Dallas Cowboys. Will leave no stone unturned to make this organization better. Here's the funny thing. Here is the funny thing when it comes to Jerry Jones and his desire to spend more. The Dallas Cowboys in free agency over the past 5 years have spent the fewest amount of money in the NFL. But I believe Jerry this time around when he says it, because I look at this roster. Dallas, to me, is a pass rush away from being a legitimate team in the conference. Their offense is Super Bowl caliber, championship level. I am a huge fan of Dak Prescott. I think he showed you last year what he's capable of when you surround him with weapons. One of the rare quarterbacks that today in the National Football League really control things at the line of scrimmage. He's checking protections, sliding protections, hot routing. Dak Prescott's legit. What they have offensively Super Bowl caliber, they need a pass rush. They have a defensive tackle trio that's legit. They just need a guy that's going to get after the quarterback, and they need some guys in the secondary. Here's my plan for Dallas. You go spend. You go try to land Trey Hendrickson, or maybe, just maybe, they opened up that salary cap space to go get Max Crosby. They're a team, to me, that is creeping and sneaking and geeking on the prowl, in my opinion, right? When it comes to Max Crosby. I think the Dallas Cowboys are very much in the Max Crosby sweepstakes. Armed with 2 first-round picks. They got the cap room to do it. And this is America's team, right? Who wouldn't want to play in Dallas wearing the star on the side of that helmet? With that offense, Max Crosby takes Dallas to a different level. So I would be giving up draft capital to get Crosby, and I'd be hedging my bushes, so to speak, around the yard in free agency, getting better at the cornerback spot where there are several starting level corners available in free agency. So we may be looking at a situation next year where the NFC East overtakes the NFC West as the best division in football. Because I believe in the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe in the Dallas Cowboys. I actually believe in the New York Giants. And I believe in the Washington Commanders. So the NFC East definitely going to have something to say, in my opinion, when it comes to the top team in all of the conference. 310-840-4910 is the number. I want you to get at me on the phones and in the YouTube chat with this. Who's the best team in the NFC as we get geared up for the start of free agency? 310-840-4910. Let's go to Andrew out in Pittsburgh wanting to check in. Andrew, welcome into Westwood One Sports Night.
What's up?
What's going on, Ben? How you doing, brother?
Good. You're telling me, come on, Micah Parsons isn't that guy?
What do you mean Micah Parsons isn't that guy?
You were just talking about the Cowboys.
Micah Parsons
Max
no
Crosby
longer
on there, Mike.
No, because
Yeah,
you just you probably just disqualified yourself from the night. I probably should give you the chance to explain further. But
No, I'm gonna.
Go ahead.
I want to talk. You're saying that they're one defensive player away. What's Micah Parsons then?
Defensive player that doesn't play.
He is a Green Bay Packer. That is what Michael Parsons is.
And we appreciate the call. Let's move swiftly on that.
Hold on. Do you think we just broke news to this dude? Did he potentially wake up out of a coma and just find out that Michael Parsons is not on the Dallas Cowboys anymore?
I hope not. That's embarrassing, bro. I'm sorry, and I don't ever want to. I hope that's not coming across as oh my gosh, we have to be sports experts to call in. I'm not asking you to be an expert, but can you pay attention a little bit? 310-840-4910. Man, let's go to Antonio out in Florida. Welcome into Westwood One Sports Night, brother. What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, Leno? Hey, did your producer just pass you my notes or something, man? Because everything you just said, I had in my mind. I told him I was going to surprise you with the Dallas Cowboys, man.
Wow. No, that was already on the docket, man. Good minds think alike.
I just told them, I said, man, people are sleeping, man. They're a pass rush away. Now that they franchise their second receiver, man, they're just a pass rush away from being dominant. And maybe a running back. That's it. And I agree with you on the Eagles. The Eagles live on dysfunction, man. They're like the family that don't get along, but you don't want to mess with them because they'll light you up.
Right.
You know,
I agree.
So, and I agree with you again. I mean, next year people are going to be surprised. I mean, the NFC East is just going to be a beast, man.
I totally agree with you, man. I appreciate the call as always. A lot of different answers for who's going to be the best team in the NFC coming up during the 2026 season. I want to switch gears and talk a little round ball. There is one player in the NBA who has totally upped his stock during the 2026 season. I'll tell you who that is next here on Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Westwood One Sports Night continues with the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Number to get at me, 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. You can tweet at me as well. Same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. What up, family? 2 hours into this bad boy. Just chilling on a Wednesday night going into Thursday morning. Appreciate you all rocking out with us per usual. See a couple of newbies in the YouTube chat. Welcome in. Here's the skinny on the YouTube situation. Like, subscribe, comment to Westwood One Sports Night. And comment in the chat, man. Whatever you want. Whatever you want. For this segment only. Anything you want to say in the chat. The world is yours. I'm going to hit a hard turn here in the program. Because there are a couple of things that I'm pretty passionate about. Non-NFL division that I want to get to. And I've been sitting on this for a little while. Pause. I've been sitting on this for a little while, and I think I'm finally ready to bring it to the forefront. There is no NBA player during the 2026 season that has improved their stock more than Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are probably the most impressive team in the association this year when you consider what the expectations were back in the summer. They lost Jason Tatum to a torn Achilles tendon last postseason. So the thought is that Boston was going to take the year off. They were going to tank, and they were going to be in the sweepstakes for DeBonsa, Boozer, Peterson. Jaylen Brown had other plans. Jaylen Brown said, I'm going to use this opportunity to shut all of you analysts up that routinely look at me as the Robin to Jason Tatum's Batman. I got news for you, hoop heads. I got news for you, folks out in Beantown. Boston, what up? Not only is Jaylen Brown not the Robin to Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown may be just as big of a star as Jason Tatum. This dude, all year long, has carried the Boston Celtics. And look, it's not like, they were supposed to be a lottery team, but then they ended up being the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. This isn't some Cinderella story that we're seeing right now. They're a bona fide contender. The Boston Celtics, as we sit here on the morning of March the 5th, are the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. They have the 4th best record in the entire NBA. 5 games back in the Detroit Pistons at 41-21. One of the best home records in basketball at 20-10. One of the best teams in the association in terms of opponent points per game. As a matter of fact, they are the absolute best team in the NBA in terms of opponent points per game. They have a program in Boston with the Celtics. Starts at the top with Brad Stevens. They draft well every year. They make shrewd moves in free agency and at the trade deadline. And what we're seeing this year on this year's version of the Celtics, Kanye West once said, I got a big ego. The boys in Beantown say they don't have an ego at all. Selfless basketball that you see night in, night out from the Boston Celtics. And they got some good news. Talking about Boston. The word on the street, the scuttlebutt is Jason Tatum's return is looming. I don't know if you all ever seen Friday. The rest of the Eastern Conference should be looking at Jason Tatum like how Ice Cube and Chris Tucker were looking at Debo when he pulled up on that damn bicycle. Debo is, he's home. What did Drewsy say? Demon home. Jason Tatum is closer than ever to returning. Playing 5-on-5 basketball in practice. And according to Bill Simmons, one of the most prominent voices when it comes to the NBA, he says Jason Tatum, he'll be back in the next week giving him about a 1-month runway to ramp up and get ready for the 2026 season, in the playoffs, rather. If Jason Tatum comes back and is given this ramp-up period, the Boston Celtics should be considered the favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference for a reason that our guy Mr. Positive mentioned. One of the reasons. Yeah, their three-point shooting is spotty. Here's my biggest issue with the Detroit Pistons and why I do not feel they're the legit number one seed, if Boston's healthy. In the NBA postseason, when you play a team in 4 consecutive games, the scouting reports become more detailed. In Cade Cunningham, teams are going to try to force the basketball out of Cade Cunningham's hand. The one Achilles heel to me for the Detroit Pistons is they don't have a secondary score. And I'll take it a step further. I guess in their heart of hearts they think they do, but I would consider the Detroit Pistons secondary score, that's probably Tobias Harris, as the worst of all of the postseason teams that have a legit shot to win the finals. You taking Tobias Harris over Jalen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder? Hell no. You taking Tobias over Cat in New York with the Knicks? Hell no. You taking Tobias Harris over James Harden with the Cavs? Hell no. You taking him over Joel Embiid as the secondary scorer for Philadelphia? Hell no. That's the one issue that is currently plaguing the Detroit Pistons. They need a secondary score. Bottom line. But I want to give credit to Jason Tatum, man. Because when you get the chance to really break down what the hell is being talked about, he's about to come back from an Achilles tear in under a calendar year. 10 months ago, he shredded his Achilles and at the time put a dagger in the Celtics in their postseason hopes. He's going to be back in under a year. It's one of the most ridiculous feats I've ever seen. And I'm eager to see how he comes back. But a torn Achilles, man, I remember at a point in time when talking about pro sports, that Achilles heel was the dagger. That Achilles heel, in tearing it, it ended folks' careers. Kobe was never the same after his Achilles tear. We've seen it with several athletes over the course of time. That Achilles tear being, for some athletes, the dagger in their career. You never are able to reach your athletic prime again. So the fact that Tatum is coming back soon, I think it's awesome.
Are you watching his YouTube series? Are you into that sort of stuff?
Oh, I love that sort of stuff. I have not picked it up, and I know I've seen small clips of it. It's on YouTube?
It's on his YouTube page. I think it's called Quiet Hours or Quiet Time or something like that.
I saw a clip of him walking in the house with Deuce Tatum, who is dude, his kid is a damn giant to be as young as he is. It's his kid's tall as hell. He's like 4. He's big as hell. Looks like a 7-8-year-old. They're showing Jason Tatum meeting him off the school bus, and then what he's got to do to get in the house. He basically had to crawl in the house at the beginning of his rehab, man. Anybody that hasn't had a major injury out there, going through an Achilles tear rehab is probably one of the most grueling things you could ever go through, just from talking to people about it. I tore my ACL twice in the span of 18 months, and I don't know if there's anything that was more mentally challenging to get over. You had to relearn how to walk. You got people waiting on you, hand and foot. Imagine having to use the damn bathroom. How many times I went to the bathroom on myself? I know I was giving away a lot of, maybe too much information. But during my ACL rehab, man, like, it's tough, especially being a big dude like myself. I remember when I had my last ACL surgery. They took a piece of my hamstring and used that as the cadaver piece. And they had a hard time reaching my hamstring because my thighs are so damn big. So the surgery took longer than what it was supposed to. So they had to give me more anesthesia. They gave me so much anesthesia, I woke up with my opposite foot asleep. So your boy had to use a walker, a wheelchair, to get around for 3-4 days post-op. I had an itch so bad. And if y'all ain't ever had nothing numb before, man, I don't know if you can relate. But if you have tore something before or had a major surgery, you know what the hell I'm talking about. I had an itch so bad it'll make you cry. Literally, it brought me to tears. Because imagine, you can feel the itch, but you can't satisfy it with the scratch because you're numb. It was awful. It genuinely brought your boy to tears. So there is a lot of mental hurdles that come along with tearing an Achilles. It's crazy, though, because the Achilles tear used to be viewed as probably the worst injury that you could suffer in pro sports. What do you think that is now as we sit here in 2026? You can hit us up on the phones with that at 310-840-4910. What's the worst injury in your mind that you can suffer in pro sports in the year 2026? 310-840-4910. You can hit me up in the YouTube chat with the answer to that question as well. Just make sure you search Westwood One Sports Night on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. What's the worst injury that you can suffer right now in pro sports? 310-840-4910. Speaking of ridiculously grueling injuries, anytime you have a surgery and the rehab that comes along with that really tests you, it can send you into a dark space. Probably makes you think and wonder whether or not you can play ever again. I think the only thing worse than having a major surgery is damn near going brain dead. That's the reality that a lot of NFL players ultimately face, being in the human car crash that they're in every Sunday. Take a listen to this story. A journeyman quarterback in the National Football League by the name of Josh Johnson, the most traveled quarterback ever in the history of the NFL, told a story about a concussion that went undiagnosed. Take a listen.
So we flew back to Philly, one of the worst flights of my life. I never felt I never felt as uncomfortable as I felt on that plane ride. Got back to San Fran, went home, did exit meetings the next day. I was in shades like this, and everything was just hard to be in light. Then 2 days later, I almost passed out in the shower, and my wife called the team, and she was like, something's not right. And so when I got my MRI, that's when they figured out I had a brain bleed, because everybody thought I had a concussion. So I had a brain bleed, and the bleeding got into my spine to the point where I couldn't touch my toes. So I felt like three days ago, I felt like one of the better athletes in the world, and then 3 days later, I can't even touch my toes. And so went through rehab with the team doing that. Also was doing a double rehab with Sergio Azzolino, who has an office in San Fran. Great guy if you ever need brain health recovery. And so I'm doing 2 basically rehabs a day, and they thought my career would be over. By God's grace, I healed in 3 months instead of 6, like they had projected. Healed in 3 months. The Ravens signed me. I switched my helmet. I started taking jiu-jitsu to learn how to fall a little different, and then we're here.
I mean, first of all, you know how scary that is? You don't know what the hell is going on. You don't get diagnosed with a concussion by the team physician. You're in the shower one day, and I like to sing when I'm in the shower. I got music bumping. Imagine you hitting a note, you hitting a high note, and all of a sudden you get weak in the knees, legs start wobbling, and next thing you know, your wife is standing over you. And this is probably the only time she's standing over you with your butterball naked, and you don't appreciate it. Scary as hell if you're Josh Johnson, man. I don't know if, as fans of these pro sports and these athletes, I don't know if we genuinely put ourselves in their shoes enough in terms of just how grueling and mentally taxing it is to be a pro athlete and go through an injury rehab. I want you to hit me up, man. 310-840-4910. You can get at us on YouTube as well and type in the chat the answer to this question. What's the worst injury that you think you can have in pro sports in the year 2026? I got Zombie Hunter 425 getting at us in the YouTube chat, saying probably a spinal injury like Ryan Shazier. That was tough. Imagine, and I know the most grueling part to me about my ACL rehab, the most mentally taxing part, is not being able to walk, having to have somebody rely on you hand and foot. That eventually goes away, though. You eventually regain your strength. for Ryan Shazier and anybody that, suffers that type of injury, you thinking in real time that you're never going to walk again and, you mean it. I knew I was eventually going to walk again because I've seen other people go through the injury. But it comes to something like Ryan Shazier, who, if you all don't know, the Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker who was on the trajectory of having a damn Hall of Fame career before he suffered that injury, career ending. Just that quickly, man. It can all be snatched away from you. A guy proven B says a torn labrum. From a pain tolerance standpoint, I know that one probably hurts because your labrum is right here. And think about, you do things when you're healthy and you don't second guess it. But when you're hurt and you're ailing and you ain't feeling great, everything hurts. You notice every nick and bump and bruise, especially when you're rehabbing, trying to get stronger. Fascinating, man. 310-840-4910 is the number. In your mind, what's the worst injury you can have right now in pro sports in the year 2026? Marcus, calling out from Boston. Welcome into Westwood One Sports Night, brother.
Yeah, that's me. Wow. Just to hear, the word is called therapeutic. I was listening to what you said, but I haven't, Achilles, what you call it, Achilles heels?
Achilles tear, an Achilles tear.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you very much. I haven't did that in 2026, but however, I was picking up basketball. It's just like a flat tire. It's like a flat tire.
Yeah.
It's so wow.
Is that what you're saying? It felt like when it happened?
Yeah, when it happened. Yeah.
It's interesting that you use that analogy. I'll compare my ACL tear. I'll tell anybody that asks. It felt like a seatbelt being undone in the car. Like you feel it come unloose. Yeah.
Exactly, but I'm not going to be too much on the phone. But what you said, you was talking about how the itch, you wanted the itch, but it was working on you though. You wanted the itch, but you said it was numb.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it was numb, but it was working, though. It was working.
The anesthesia was working. I know that for sure. I appreciate the call as always, brother. 310-840-4910 is the number. In your mind, what's the worst injury you can have right now in pro sports in the year 2026? Let's go to Howie out in California. Wanted to check in. Howie, what's going on, brother? Welcome into Westwood One Sports Night.
Hey, I got to say that having multiple concussions and brain injuries has got to be the biggest, the worst injury. And I'm kind of wondering about you guys out there in the East Coast talking about the NFC East is going to be the best conference in football. I mean, did you not see the NFC West dominated last year? That Seattle defense is for real. The Rams are the most rounded team in all of football. Even my number 3 San Francisco 49ers would take out the Cowboys or your Commanders, and look what they did to the Eagles in the playoffs, all banged up. So I don't know what's going on with you guys out there, but
you think I'm tripping? You think I'm being biased? I hear you. The Cardinals are a joke. I don't think we have a joke team in our division. I think the 49ers, what's going to happen if you don't have Trent Williams?
That's going to be tough, man. They need to get an offensive lineman for sure.
So that's a big Achilles heel for them. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think you got the sarcasm that caller had about Micah Parsons. He was saying, you're going to rely on Jerry Jones to make good picks when he screwed up that whole Micah Parsons transaction. That was terrible.
I think the tired thing to say is that he screwed it up. The wired thing to say is if he ends up with Max Crosby and Quinnen Williams for Micah Parsons, he won the damn deal. So I kind of think differently about the whole Jerry Jones, Micah Parsons saga, especially now that you have the backdrop of Micah tearing his ACL. Like, I know we're not rooting for, and that's ironic that I brought that up during this conversation, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Taking your calls at 310-840-4910. What's the worst injury that you could have in pro sports in the year 2026? We'll take your calls on that. Plus, Aaron Rodgers gave an update on his NFL future earlier this afternoon on the Pat McAfee Show. We'll let you hear from Aaron next.
The Cardinals will reportedly release Kyler Murray. Will the former number 1 pick get a Sam Darnold-like reset? It's the NFL news that matters. Westwood One! On Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
What up, family? Still kicking it to you on a late night here on Westwood One Sports Night, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. If you don't know by now, I guess I got to reintroduce myself. This is the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. BZs, you know what time it is, player. Getting you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. I was saying at the D-Day before we got going, it's like a Friday for me. Didn't hold down the fort the next 2 nights. I'm going to go try to be a regular human and go to bed at a normal hour. So let's have fun like it's a Friday night, man. We appreciate you all being here. However you're doing so, Sirius XM, Channel 375, WestwoodOneSports.com, and the always free Westwood One Sports app. We nudge you to get at us on YouTube as well. Like, subscribe, comment, smash that like button. Word to Pine Needle. So you can help us, man, get to our subscriber goal here on the Westwood One Sports Night YouTube. I want to get to 1,000. Josh says by the end of the NCAA tournament. I think it's achievable. But the power is with the people because it is the people's show. You can text us as well at 310-840-4910. And the super producer of the program, Denton Day, word is we got a text that you want to read, D-Day. We haven't read a text before on this show. So for you to want to read it, I now have sky-high expectations for it.
Don't set them too high. This is just promo. But you can text us at 310-840-4910. You know,
so honest.
There have been people that have been texting us throughout the course of our show. We just only recently learned how to properly use it. But we did have a texter text us. And if you want your name right on the show, you're going to have to include your name. We don't have caller ID like that. I can see numbers, but I'm not doxing anybody.
Yeah, we ain't got caller ID. I was going to say something.
Well, we had a texter text us and say a Tommy John injury. You basically without use of your arm for about a year.
Yeah. That's tough. Yeah, Tommy John, here's what I would say with Tommy John. There are instances in Major League Baseball, that's where it happens most frequently, talking about Tommy John. There are instances where Tommy John can be career-ending. That is why I would kind of look at it as something that's really major and really severe. But in today's day and age, as modern medicine has continued to advance, Tommy John is low-key like the Achilles of baseball. Remember what an Achilles used to mean, man? It used to mean you were donezo. Couldn't do it again. Same was thought about the Tommy John surgery, but we're seeing pitchers come back from it. Do you have an idea, Denton, because you're more of a baseball guy than me, or anybody that's part of the show tonight, who's the best pitcher to come back from Tommy John surgery?
All of them. It feels like a rite of passage.
That you come back better?
Yeah, you're going to get a Tommy John surgery, and then you're going to come back and hopefully perform at a high level. Like Garrett Cole's coming back from Tommy John surgery for the New York Yankees. It felt like something that, as you mentioned, was career-ending like a decade ago. And now it feels like almost all of the great pitchers have had Tommy John surgery. You know who had a Tommy John surgery that was close to our home? Steven Strasburg had Tommy John surgery. That's why he was put on innings limits the way that he was, and then he never played again after they won a World Series, basically. But everyone has it now. It's literally a rite of passage.
It's amazing how things have changed when it comes to modern medicine, when it comes to injuries, period, man, in pro sports. And it's so crazy because, as Denton kind of alluded to, these changes that we're seeing, this has been something that's really evolved over the past decade or so. I remember when Adrian Peterson tore his ACL at Washington back in like 08, 09. There was thought, it was probably like 2010. I'm a little off on the year, but AP came off of the ACL tear and had the best year of his career. That, at a point in time, 10, 12 years, 15 years ago, was looked at as an injury that was debilitating, an injury that wouldn't allow you to get back to your athletic prime. And as Adrian Peterson and other major athletes across pro sports have proven, as modern medicine improves, as the willpower improves, these injuries, a small thing, to a giant? James Green hits us up in the YouTube chat. This is a hell of an answer. Says the worst injury in pro sports now is a bruised ego. They're never the same afterwards. Can I be real with y'all? I used to have a problem with this when I was young. When I was a little league man, whenever I miss a tackle, oh, my shoulder. Oh, Vicky, my shoulder, Uncle Stephen, coach, my shoulder hurt. I had to get over that as a young player. I was embarrassed by missing tackles, especially in front of a bunch of people. You don't want to be that kid. And I should have realized he was just a kid. I guess it was the Lord preparing me for failures in my sports career. I love the high school football program that I played for. Shout out to my guy, Ray Fowle, out at Magruder in Montgomery County, Maryland. We were terrible, though. I mean, I got my ass whipped when I was in high school. You ever lost 63-0 before? I have. You ever got beat on homecoming that bad? I have. It ain't fun.
I think we've all experienced L's in homecoming. Another text says the Alex Smith the spiral leg fracture situation where if you saw I think it was an E60 that they did on.
Yes, I saw it. It was really good.
It was great. It was gross.
Yeah. It was so. It didn't. If you saw it, right?
Oh, I saw it. Oh yeah.
I think it's out there on YouTube. You all should go look that up because it's honestly like inspiring, especially when you consider the current.
Don't look it up if you
climate.
just ate though.
Yeah, if you just ate, don't look it up. And I know some of you out there working your late night shifts. You might be on your lunch break. Put the ham and cheese sandwich away. If you don't want to throw up. I thought it was awesome watching that E60 though, Denton, because he had to go to rehab where our veterans rehab when they get a limb blown off by a bomb. So to think that his injury was that severe, it was on that level to where he's rehabbing with war trauma victims is nutso.
It was crazy. They didn't think he was ever going to walk again. And then he plays football again after that. And the first sack he took, because Washington's offensive line was not very good, Aaron Donald jumps on his back. He's basically wearing Aaron Donald like a backpack. He did not survive that sack. He goes down.
He took a couple steps.
I thought he was going to break the leg. I was terrified.
So did I. Dude, I remember. Damn, dog. That's how like the Taylor Heineke thing was born because Alex couldn't play on one leg anymore.
And Ron did the Ron Rivera Alex Smith beef under talked about in football.
Yeah, because I don't think Ron or anybody in that organization had any plans of him coming back and playing. And he said, "Ha, I am going to play again." A lot more to get to here on Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge, Noah Willingham. I'll take you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. We were having this conversation earlier. You can hit us up on the text line, on the phones, the YouTube chat, with your answer to who's the best team in the NFC as we get geared up for free agency. We'll take things from the NFC to the AFC. One of the biggest questions, the NFL offseason, is who's going to play quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. One name that, for whatever reason, is constantly brought up is the ayahuasca-indulging monster, Aaron Rodgers. He joined the Pat McAfee show earlier today and had this to say about his plans for 2026.
But right now, I'm not. There hasn't been any progressive conversations. You know, I love Mike, and Mike and I have kept in contact over the years. I've had conversations with Omar. I really, I think Omar, enjoyed having me there. I think the guys, had a positive response, to our time together. But again, there hasn't been any deadline set on me. There hasn't been any contract, floated in front of me for me to like, well, we're giving you till, March the 8th to make a decision on this contract. There's been nothing to that respect. So.
Listen, y'all. Y'all know I'm an Aaron Rodgers man. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. He sounds like a total me guy with that answer. Did you hear him? Like, really listen to what he said. He said, I think they liked having me. They liked having you. You're talking about yourself in the third person. I thought I was positive for the organization. You can just tell, man, like, I'm starting to see what some other people see in him. The self-serving part about Aaron Rodgers, unfortunately. And that answer kind of told you everything you needed to know. There's no deadline is what he kept saying. If I was a Steeler fan, I would be ready to rip my hair out. Why are we – that's like – what time is it? 1:36 a.m. Eastern time, so I'm safe to say this. That's like when you find out, and this is for men and women, when you find out you're dealing with a skeechy, when you find out you're dealing with a gunk, when you find out you're dealing with somebody that's green and for everybody, you're supposed to leave them alone and not go back to them. I've had that problem throughout my dating life. I have horrible luck. As one of the callers earlier asked for an update on my love life. You get us to 600 subscribers by the end of the night. By the end of the show, I'll give you all a full update. I don't have a 5-man roster right now. I'm like the unrivaled league. I'm playing 3-on-3. That's how I'm kind of trying to juggle things right now. You get us to 600 subscribers on YouTube, I'll tell you about my unrivaled love life. That was really, like, clever the way I just put that together. 310-840-4910 is the number. Here's the thing with Aaron Rodgers and then the Pittsburgh Steelers and their quarterback situation. We have talked about this several times throughout the course of the offseason. And I'll be real, right? My thought process on what the Steelers should do, in full transparency, it has changed. I am looking at it a little bit differently. And here is why. I was open to the idea of Aaron Rodgers returning. But the more and more I think about it, why? Why? If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can someone name me? And I can't believe I'm 180ing like this. I just think if you're Pittsburgh, you got to figure out what you have. And I roll my eyes when I say it. You got to figure out what you have in 6th-round pick Will Howard. It would be organizational malpractice to leave the 2026 season if you're Pittsburgh not knowing what Will Howard is. So if you're Pittsburgh, the Aaron Rodgers thing is cute, right? It gives us something to talk about on late night sports talk radio. But in reality, it would be a total disservice to the organization for them to move forward next year with Aaron Rodgers. Not even close. So if you're the Steelers, you got to fix it. Not all relationships are meant to last forever. Someone should tell that to one of the managing owners of the Las Vegas Raiders, Tom Brady. I'll tell you why next.
Hawks are letting Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker walk. The 25-year-old is coming off a 1,000-yard season and is now a free agent at the peak of his powers. Who gets him? We'll tell you every move as it happens. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Here I am, taking you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time right here on a Wednesday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge, baby, Linnell Willingham. Denton Day going to hold down the fort for you all the next couple of days. Same energy for him as you have for all of us here on Westwood One Sports Night. Like, subscribe, comment, get at him on YouTube. Get at me on YouTube right now. Search Westwood One Sports Night, baby. We are at 560 subscribers. When I wake up tomorrow morning, is it too much to ask to be at 600 subscribers? When I wake up tomorrow morning, when Denton, better yet, I'll give you all some a realistic goal to hit. When Denton Day kicks this bad boy off tomorrow night, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, why won't we be at 600 subscribers? What's your excuse? What's your rhyme or reason? I don't think you have one. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, baby, to help us out and continue to spread the love here on Westwood One Sports Night. Next thing we're about to get into, I do want to tag in our guy Denton Day on this because I am eager to hear his thoughts in real time. When Tom Brady was announced as a partner and a partial owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, I don't think anyone looked at any potential negatives. I don't think on its surface there were any potential negatives. I didn't, at least. I looked at it as Tommy Terrific's got the Midas touch. Everything Tom touches turns to gold. Greatest quarterback of all time. Honest, good analyst. Won a Super Bowl with 2 different organizations. So, of course, him running a football team or having an opportunity to run a football team, what could go wrong? I didn't think anything could go wrong. It come to find out, things are starting to get a little iffy. Not because of Tom directly, though.
This is why you and I are yin and yang.
Yeah.
You can pick which side that you want to be on. You want to be yin, you want to be yang. It doesn't really matter. I'm a hater. I knew immediately. I was like, there's going to be a problem here. Because Tom Brady, one, he likes his people, and he rides for his people, which that could be positive. But sometimes it gets a little odd because he surrounds himself with some really weird people. But he also had the Fox deal when he officially got let into the ownership group, because this process takes forever and a half to be a part of an NFL ownership group.
As it should.
Vet you. Yeah, they vet you 86,000 in different ways. They've said no to a lot of people. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Like a really famous person. Never mind.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, like, it takes a lot to get in there. And I knew about this one particular dude that Tom Brady is very fond of. And I was like, well, that guy's clearly going to come and join the party. And I don't know how well that's going to go over.
I did not have that on my bingo card, Denton, and that is why you are my better half, doing the investigative journalism on this. In reality, we're talking about Alex Guerrero, the confidant, longtime personal trainer of one Tom Brady. Isn't Guerrero a big part of the reason why the relationship soured in New England?
A massive part.
Because he was trying to undercut Belichick's program, basically.
Yeah, Belichick stripped him of abilities. Yeah, they kind of brought him in because he's like this holistic medicine kind of guy. And, look, man, if you're a normal person, try whatever the hell you feel like. I don't really care. I'm not going to be the one to stop you from doing things. But when you're bringing this holistic approach into a league, there's going to naturally be some pushback. Because, hey, what are you doing? You're doing things very differently than what we've been doing things for years. And in a lot of cases, again, that's okay. I think some of the shots they give NFL players are disastrous.
Yes.
They took way too long to get weed to make it legal and have it kind of almost not just legal, but hey, this is a thing that's way better than popping pain pills.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like a holistic doctor, and we're talking borderline, or he's closer to Aaron Rodgers than he is to you and I. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't fly for everybody.
Especially not an NFL organization. And that holistic approach and him being too hands-on and wanting to rock the boat too much, as Denton's kind of alluding to, is why the relationship soured in New England the way that it did. And it's why there was a thought that Tom and Belichick didn't really rock with each other. Here's what Mike Silver of The Athletic is reporting. He's reporting that Max Crosby and, quote, others are frustrated with the role of Alex Guerrero. Quote, Guerrero, who regularly attends practices and meetings, purports to possess significant organizational power, informing players of impending transactions, and even indicating to staff members who don't follow his instructions that their job may be at risk. Guerrero reportedly has a, shocker, direct pipeline to Tom Brady, a.k.a. he's attending meetings and such without Tom Brady. Alex Guerrero, once you piss off Max Crosby, it's kind of tough to come back from it in the organization. I totally believe and buy the report that this is happening and that there is real legitimate frustration. Is this something that you think can derail the organization? That's how I look at it. Because right now, if you're a Raiders fan, and this is why I love doing National Sports Talk Radio, getting to put myself in you all seats as a sports fan. If I was a Raider fan out there, we got the number 1 overall pick. We got the hottest thing jumping out the coffee pot in terms of offensive coordinator. Talking about Clint Kubiak now being the head man. We have one of the best pass rushers in the game in Max Crosby. We got buku money to spend, and Tom Brady's on our side. This should be a time for Raider fans to have delusional optimism. That's what this offseason should be about for the Vegas Raiders, especially when you consider what's happened over the past 3 seasons in the NFL. The Texans totally came out of nowhere. The Washington Commanders totally came out of nowhere. The New England Patriots this past year totally came out of nowhere. If you're a Raiders fan, that is the hope and dream that you should be selling yourself on. That you can turn this thing around in year number 1 if you play your cards right. I'll tell you how you don't play your cards right. By pissing off people in the building, including Max Crosby. I've been on this program several times and told you all, hey, I can see a scenario in which Vegas doesn't part ways with Max Crosby. I can see a scenario in which Vegas can keep him around and draft Mendoza and continue to build this roster in year 1 of the Clint Kubiak era. Knowing that Alex Guerrero was going around pissing people off, I think it makes it more likely that he's dealt. Talking about Max Crosby. This is the worst news you could possibly hear if you were a Raiders fan. Because the moment Tom Brady in his perfect Squidward jawline becomes a problem, you got to go, pal. Because in reality, I don't like the fact that Roger Goodell is breaking the rules for this man. Why is he even allowed to own this team? And he's working on Fox. This would not happen for anybody else in this league. But when you're Tom Brady, and you've been such a great ambassador for the sport, he's heading the flag football, trying to take it to Radiah. That's now going to be moved to California because of the political climate. Like, Tom Brady's an important figure when it comes to the National Football League. So I get the idea of wanting to throw him a bone. But, man, I think if you're Roger Goodell, what's the old saying, man? I got a couple sayings I love from one of my favorite movies, State Property. Beanie Siegel Bean said, you're either going to get down or lay down. Something else you hear out there? You got to stand for something, Roger Goodell, or else you're going to fall for every damn thing. You're letting Tom Brady do whatever he wants. And I didn't have a problem with it at first because I love Tommy Terrific and I feel like he can do no wrong. You ever seen a brother bounce back post-divorce the way that Tom Brady has? I give him all the credit in the world just for that. Tom Brady keeps it P. That's why I love me some Tommy Terrific. But the way that he's got Alex Guerrero running around, probably lying, cheating, and stealing like Eddie Guerrero. They got to get it fixed when it comes to the Las Vegas Raiders. The LA Rams made a move earlier this afternoon to put the rest of the NFC on notice. That's next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Final hour of power here on a Wednesday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night with the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham. I get you up to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Number to hit me up, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. We appreciate you logging in, man, however you're doing so. Sirius XM Channel 375, WestwoodOneSports.com, and the always free Westwood One Sports app, man. I'll keep nudging y'all to hit me up, lock into the program on YouTube as well. You can check out the live stream every night from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. Just search Westwood One Sports Night. Long-form content of the show, individual segments, YouTube shorts. And then at the end of this bad boy, you get all 4 hours in its entirety. The most lit, nationally syndicated, late-night sports talk radio stream in the world. That was very wordy. And it's the 2 o'clock hour on the East Coast. And when I know the replay people are probably – those of you that catch this program when you're driving into work in the morning, I know y'all probably confused as hell whenever I reference the time. My apologies. This is that hour of the show where things get a little funky, get a little raunchy. We have a little bit of fun, and we strive to have fun throughout the entirety of the show. This has been awesome, though, man. I always do at points throughout the show want to take time to, like, really lock in with y'all as people because I'm just like you all, man. 28, trying to get it, trying to figure out my way in this crazy world that we live in. I'm no better than you. I'm just like you. I just happen to have the platform. You all make this show what it is each and every night. I don't want to peel back the curtain too much, but let's just say you all are helping me get a lot of tremendous praise from a lot of different folks throughout the country, so it means a hell of a lot to me. This is my first time hosting a radio show in a full-time capacity and to do it on a national platform, man. It means a hell of a lot to me. I am living the dream, and I appreciate you all continuing to support us, man. You can hit us up on the phones, as I mentioned, 310-840-4910. Couple of calls on the line I want to run through real quick. Corey and B-More, a regular here on Westwood One Sports Night. What up, fam? What you got for us, man?
Yeah, man, you starting to become my favorite, man, out here this early morning, me getting out here, hitting these roads and whatnot, man. But
I appreciate you,
big
guy.
My childhood friend, man, he was one of the only kids that grew up with his mom and dad in the house, and they brought him a My Buddy dog. And his My Buddy dog, whenever we was mad at our parents, we used to shake the hell out of that My Buddy dog.
What's a My Buddy dog? I wonder if anybody out there listening knows what a My Buddy doll is, because you older than me.
That My Buddy. You ain't never see that? Yeah,
we gotta look it up in the control room to see if we can get the audio on that. You said a My Buddy doll, Corey?
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, Mark.
I'm looking at it right now.
My Buddy. Look just like My Buddy.
It's like a plush toy.
We used to shake the hell out of that dog when we was mad at our parents and whatnot, man. But Mark Davis, man, I get it, man. I really get it that, you know what I'm saying, you're trying to bring money to Vegas. You don't have to because you're in Vegas.
Right.
You know? And it's already proven that your front office are champions. You got the Aces. How many championships they won?
That's true. And you got Spy Tech coming from the Buccaneers who won a championship there.
I'm telling you, man, like, so, and if I'm not mistaken, Tom Brady is just the face of the group that actually brought into the Raiders. He didn't take his own money. He's part of a group. So my thing is, like, is he going to become the Michael Jordan of football? Because Michael Jordan ain't have a knack for nothing for his basketball. He drafted, like, I don't know what the hell he drafted.
Terrible player after terrible player after terrible player.
Terrible, man. So I hate the fact that everybody is sitting up there keep saying Tom Brady is this and Tom Brady is that. Okay, he got all his accolades playing with his teammates. That doesn't mean that he's going to be the one that pick out these people. He wasn't the one that picked out his teammates in New England, no, in Tampa Bay. So
yeah, that's a good point. I just think the optimism comes from the fact that he's won everywhere. So you hope, and I had optimism for him too, because I think he's going to help them find what it takes to get a young quarterback. But to your point, man, if you got your friends running around acting a damn fool, it's going to be hard for me to lock in with you. I hear what you're saying all the way, Corey. Hey, look, I got to let you go. And we got some other news to get to, man, but I appreciate you. Uh-oh. I think I have heard this before. What's like the what are we Denton, Gen Z or this is where Denton's gonna say we're not the same gen. What am I, Denton?
That's something you got to find out every single day.
I know, look.
I can't help you there. I think you're Gen Z. I think you just missed out on millennial.
What's a Gen Z version of a My Buddy doll? Oh, I used to play with wrestling toys.
You probably used to play with the wrestling toys. What is a Gen Z? When were you born? What year were you born?
97.
God, young ass. You actually might be a millennial.
So
I don't know what the cutoff is.
I gotta Google it.
So, like, if you Google it. Millennials, sometimes it's a 95 cutoff, which is me. Sometimes it's 96, which is my brother. Sometimes it's 97, which is you. But if you're a millennial, I don't know. I guess we did I didn't play with dolls.
Did you play? Well, you said you didn't get into wrestling until later, so you
no, I
didn't
didn't get into. I played with Pokemon. I actually looked up what it would be like to get a Game Boy SP today, and Lord, let me tell you, those things are expensive as hell.
Still,
oh my God, bro,
maybe more because it's like a vintage item. Right now.
They don't get made anymore. It's like $200.
Man, I remember when the Game Boy Color came out, boy, I was locked in playing the Mario Brothers. Boy, wow.
Are you a Mario guy or a Pokemon guy?
I'm a Mario guy. So I did have Pokemon on the Game Boy Color. That was one of the best games on Game Boy Color, where you walk around as Ash.
Yeah,
you
Pokemon
basically
Yellow.
do the little. Yep, that's what I had. Pokemon Yellow. I played that.
I'm about to get the phone mod because I'm not paying for that. I think we had Build-A-Bear. I think that was like our thing.
Boy, if you don't know how many Build-A-Bears I done bought trying to win over somebody's daughter.
Trying to build a woman, you know what I mean?
You know what
trying to build a wife, you know?
I'm about to say, boy, they're building a bear. I'm trying to build a baddie. 310-840-4910 is the number. And you know what that got me thinking of too, Denton? That PSP, that set the world on fire. I had SmackDown versus Raw 2007 was going hard on the PSP.
When we found out my brother and I had to link that thing, get on Wi-Fi, I was tormenting people with Mercedes Lewis at tight end. Y'all did not want to see me on the stage with Mercedes Lewis.
I'll never forget, man. PSP, damn sure a big part of your boy's childhood. 310-840-4910. John is in Massachusetts. What up, John? We heard from John all week. What's going on, John?
Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah, as far as sports
I'm lucky.
injuries,
What you mean I'm lucky, John?
Yeah, well, most people try and avoid me. They like me far away.
We love you here on Westwood One Sports Night, John. You're my main man.
And you got a great show.
Appreciate
it,
man.
As far as sports injuries go, I think rib injuries last for like a year. The first time my brother broke my ribs, anytime anyone touched it, it hurt like hell.
What the hell was you and your brother? What was you and your brother messing around doing that you broke your ribs?
Oh, he just had a quick temper, and he outweighed me by 110.
Damn! I hope the shoe. Oh.
No, well, I learned martial arts when I was 19, so he left
I'm about to
me
say,
alone
look, I hope the
that.
shoe. I hope the shoe was on the other foot at some point in time, brother. Ought to whoop his ass.
Twice, and then he left me alone, only with martial arts training.
There we go. Damn, you went and got a black belt on his ass. That's how you do it, John. I dig it.
Oh, he would break my nose once a month. So it was a good childhood. It taught me to appreciate being away from them.
I dig it. What else you got for us, man?
The second worst injury or a tie is any neck injury. I got hit by a car in the driver's door at 85 miles an hour, estimated by the police by how far he pushed me sideways.
God bless you, man.
I had a migraine headache for 15 months every day. Yeah.
God bless you, though,
so
man.
That's got to be the worst. Yeah, if you sneeze, you worry about, being paralyzed. Lots of fun. But I've had 33 days without pain since then. Well, great pain. So anytime I'm feeling a little down about the pain, I go out and help a stranger. And then I feel better, and I forget about my pain.
That's universal law, baby. That's a good Lord. That's the good Lord looking out for you, man. I appreciate you as always, man. Enjoy the rest of your night, brother. Westwood One Sports Night, baby. I mean, you get everything on this show.
He casually dropped that he got hit by a car at 85 miles an hour. Is that guy a Superman?
He's a warrior, damn it. This is the show of warriors. On Westwood One Sports Night. Ah, damn. Somehow we'll try to get back on track. Crazy day in the world of sports, guys. The LA Rams with a blockbuster trade that I think puts the rest of the NFC firmly on notice. They're retooling. They're not resting on their laurels. They're doing everything they can to finish the story. Word to Cody Rhodes, man. They want to end up in the Super Bowl. There are a lot of Rams fans out there that probably feel like, yeah, we were better than Seattle, even though they got the better of us in the 3 meetings that we had throughout the regular season and postseason. The Rams acquired Trent McDuffie, all-pro corner, from the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for pick number 29 overall in the draft. The Rams give up their 5th, 6th round picks this year, and they give up a 2027 third-round pick. The Rams, though, they fill the biggest need on their roster, and I think it's really impressive the way that Les Snead was able to flip this thing and acquire a top 5 dude at his position in this league, man. I don't know, because Pat Mahomes really gets all the shine when it comes to Kansas City. Travis Kelce gets all the moonshine. I don't know Chris Jones. I don't know if you understand just how good Trent McDuffie is. There are only 4 defensive backs since 2022 to have 25-plus passes defensed, 15-plus quarterback hits, 10-plus tackles for loss. Kyle Hamilton, Derwin James, Antoine Winfield Jr., and Trent McDuffie. Notice McDuffie, the only corner. He is tough as all get out. Love everything about McDuffie. So now when you look at this Rams team, they're flawless. I had to think about it for a second. But, like, realistically, what hole do the LA Rams have? They shored up their secondary. They're beefy in the middle with Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk. They've got Jarrett Verse off of the edge. What is the hole? We know on offense that's a Super Bowl caliber group already. So if I'm the Rams, I'm looking at the rest of the NFC like, how you like me now? What you going to do now? How do you react now? It's like when you get punched in the face by the neighborhood bully. You go inside, you put some Vaseline on the cut, and you come out swinging like Floyd. That is what the Rams did, not resting on their laurels, while the Seahawks probably going to lose Kenneth Walker, probably going to lose Tariq Woolen, probably going to lose Raheem Shaheed. 3 starters on that Super Bowl team. I think the landscape of the NFC is changing in real time. I think it's wide the hell open, talking about the NFC conference going into 2026. There are a couple other teams that I do think are deserving of being in that conversation. I think the most overlooked team right now, without a shadow of a doubt in the NFC, is the Philadelphia Eagles. Not only are they the most overlooked team in the conference, I also think if you're advocating for Philadelphia to trade A.J. Brown, remind me to never take any sort of advice from you, ever. Jalen Hurts is the issue with Philadelphia. Not the issue, but he is going to be, his performance, his play will ultimately dictate how far Philadelphia goes. No, they don't have a Nick Sirianni problem. No, they don't have an A.J. Brown problem. Their problem might be a Jalen Hurts problem. He is under probably the most pressure out of any starting quarterback going into next year. Outside of that question mark with him being more consistent, the defense is a top 10 legit unit still, with an all-pro at every level. Zach Bond, Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell, Jalen Carter. Who knows if they're going to be able to re-sign Jalen Phillips. They're another surprise destination potentially for Max Crosby. So Philadelphia, big game Howie. I know how I feel about Howie Roseman. Arguably the best exec in pro sports. He is going to figure it out. You all are acting like the Eagles haven't been in the Super Bowl 2 out of the past 3 seasons. This rumor, this conversation surrounding the Eagles and their demise, I think it's greatly over-exaggerated. Totally. Defense is top 10. The skill group with Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, I'd stack it up against anybody in the NFL. They had some uncertainty now, right? And I'll be real about it. The author of authenticity, I know how I get down. I'm going to be real about it when it comes to the Eagles' offensive line. When I saw that Jeff Stoutland said, I'm gone. The architect of this offensive line, I thought, okay, maybe they'll take a step back. There was also retirement rumors surrounding Lane Johnson, the best right tackle in football. There were retirement rumors surrounding Landon Dickerson. Those dudes are now back in the fold. So that offensive line, still a top 5 unit in the National Football League. So what are we talking about again? In terms of panicking for Philadelphia? For the life of me, I can't understand why they're being written off. Makes no sense to me. They're going to bounce back. They will. The question for Philadelphia, and really every team in the NFC, is health. If you can stay healthy, you're going to have a shot to do it. Another team that I think is being counted out. And as a Commander fan, I feel like I got to wash my damn mouth out with soap when I say this. I think the Dallas Cowboys are being overlooked as well. Bottom line. We got Max tweets at us in the chat saying, I wouldn't sleep on the Giants. On paper, they look like they could be decent. I said it earlier, and it was met with some pushback, Max. I think if the NFC East get their act together and everyone reaches their potential, they could be the NFC beast once again. They could return to being the best division in all the National Football League. Max hitting us up in the YouTube live stream chat. You should do that as well, man. You can check us out there each and every night here on Westwood One Sports Night, 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Time. Like, subscribe, and comment to get long-form content of the show, YouTube Shorts, and the entire 4-hour show at the end of this bad boy. I think the Cowboys are being overlooked as well, though. Keeping it in the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys made a big-time move earlier this afternoon. If you were at work, sleeping, doing whatever, you didn't get the chance to read the ticker. The Cowboys cleared nearly $50 million in cap space by restructuring the contracts of Dak Prescott, Tyron Smith, and CeeDee Lamb. What does that allow the Dallas Cowboys to do? Their owner, Jerry Jones, he had a microphone in front of his face. So, of course, he spilled all the tea. Here's Jerry Jones.
The only way to push more is for me to go borrow some of my future. Okay? Expect me to go borrow some of my future. I really can't accept just the thought of winning one Super Bowl and then what? I see a chance to put a team together and basically be knocking at the edge and get another one or get a chance at another one. I would bet that we will spend more money in free agency than we have.
The irony about what Jerry Jones just said, over the past 5 years, the Dallas Cowboys have spent the least amount of money in free agency in the NFL. I don't know why. Maybe I'm stuck on stupid. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I actually believe him this time around. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys are going to spend because they're right on the brink of putting themselves amongst the conference's elite. We all know it. Whether you love them, whether you hate them, you got to be frank and honest and transparent about Dallas last year. That offense was a Super Bowl caliber unit. The wide receiver duo of George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb was the best duo in football. Their big Achilles heel lies on the defensive side of the football. That interior trio at defensive tackle, though, Quinnen Williams, Oso Diggy-Zua, right? Kenny Clark. It's the best interior D-line room in the NFL. They got to figure out somebody off of the edge. You hope Donovan Ezeraku in year 2 takes a step forward. But if you're creating all this money, why not go big game hunting? Why not throw a big bag at Trey Hendrickson, formerly of the Cincinnati Bengals? Or take it a step further, if you really want to be aggressive, you're armed and loaded with 2 first-round picks. Go get Max Crosby, damn it. Go get him. That's the one thing. Everybody poo-pooed on Jerry Jones for the Michael Parsons deal. Does he not look like a smart cookie right now? Is he not in a better situation? Are they not in a better situation organizationally? I think they are. If they shore up this defense, which they have the opportunity to do via free agency and the draft, the Dallas Cowboys not only are they going to return back to the postseason, I think they will be amongst the conference's elite because of who they have at quarterback. You can love them, you can hate them, but the bottom line is Dak Prescott last year was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And if they get him a defense, I think he's got the chance to replicate that success. Journeyman quarterback Josh Johnson told a crazy story earlier this afternoon. We'll let you hear from him. Plus, the mayor of Baltimore spent an inordinate amount of money on seafood. All that and more comes your way next here on Westwood One Sports Night.
Will the Raiders trade Max Crosby? Where could he land? What could they get in return? We're following the NFL news that matters. Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Wait, what the hell? Hey. Oh. It's Westwood One Sports Night, man. We're the youngest in charge. Rocking with you for about another half hour. Hey, what? Hey, what? Wait, hold the hell on now. Did all of y'all hear that, or was that just me? That was the dulcet tones of one Sergio Kitchens. I call him by his government name because that's really my brother, my man Gunner. Well, one of the songs of 2025, WGFT, the radio edit says we're going up tonight. I don't know what I was just hearing, but it just hey, Gunner, you a bad boy. And the boys behind the glass, you even better. 310-840-4910. Our guy Eric Sheets hits us up in the YouTube chat. Says Wrestling Dolls, 90s version, Stretch Armstrong, Hulk Hogan doll, video games, Joe Montana, football, 94 Sega, get Barry Sanders and murder any teams just running around. That was Michael Vick, Denton, and you know this on 04 Madden, boy. He was a problem. Well, the best video game quarterback in the history of the world, Craig, was 04 Michael Vick on Madden. But damn, you can be like Eric and hit us up in the chat. Guy, the dog 23 says Philadelphia has been in 2 of the last 4 Super Bowls, 24 season and 22 season. My apologies. I was wrong on that, but it's just as impressive. It still proves the point that they've had too much success here over the past couple of years to be moving on from their head coach or anybody else significant within the organization. Is that real? So who was the 23 Super Bowl? I thought the Eagles made it. They had the chance to win back-to-back. Yeah, they did. Am I tripping? No, the Chiefs had the chance to go 3 in a row.
Yeah, the Chiefs could go 3 in a row.
It was was it the Chiefs beat the Niners? Was that the team that? Yeah, they beat the Niners.
Yeah.
22 was the Niners. Okay. I appreciate you, the dog. Look, that's how you keep me on my toes, on my P's and quickities. I'm not perfect, but I'm worth it, baby. 310-840-4910. I want to let you hear from Josh Johnson coming up here in a moment, but real quick on the NBA, as it was a pretty interesting night in the association as we get ready to enter the home stretch of the NBA season. The Thunder with a big 3-point win over the New York Knicks, who have actually been playing a lot better here recently than the Charlotte Hornets with the dub of the night. They're the hottest team in basketball. They were 12 games under 500 on January the 21st. They're now a game over 500, 32-31. Winners of 16 out of their last 19. They put belt to ass of the Boston Celtics, 118-89. Real quick on the Celtics. I want to double click on this. Despite their shellacking that they took tonight, Jason Tatum's return from a torn Achilles is pending. It would be a 10-month recovery time, which is ludicrous, and it really gets me thinking like how times have changed, right? The Achilles tear used to be viewed as a debilitating, potentially career-ending injury, and now Tatum's about to come back from it in less than a calendar year. It's impressive, but what's more impressive is what his running mate, Jaylen Brown, has been able to do this year. I don't think there's any player in the NBA that improved his stock over the course of this year more than Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. The Celtics, remember this, right? When JT goes down in the postseason, what was the conversation surrounding Boston? Oh, next year they're going to be a lottery team. They're going to use the opportunity to retool, so on and so forth. They said to hell with that. Jaylen Brown said, I have other plans, America. Right? Jaylen Brown this year, 4th in the NBA in scoring at 29 points per, shooting 48% from the field, grabbing 7 rebounds, and dishing out 5 helpers per contest. Oh, and he also shoots 35% from downtown and gives you a steal every night as well. There is no player in the association this year that I've been more impressed with. He should be in the MVP conversation. But if they get Tatum back, I know everyone's in love with the Pistons, but the Celtics despite being without their best player, arguably, in Tatum. Oh, my God. Jason Tatum, everybody Google this. Wherever you are, when you get to work, if you're listening on us, if you're listening to the replay, when you get in the office, the first thing you do is you go to your laptop and you Google Jaylen Brown's dunk tonight over the Charlotte Hornets. Hot damn. Woo! If they get Jason Tatum back, I think the Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference. They're 5 games back of the Pistons, who seem to be kind of in a tailspin right now. And the big Achilles heel I look at with Detroit, and I'm sorry to our listeners over on the ticket that are whining right now about what I'm about to say, Detroit doesn't have the secondary scorer that the other teams in the Eastern Conference have. It's Cade Cunningham and the guys and the bros. They just vibing. Tobias Harris, sorry, not that guy, pal. So they're interesting and going to be a tough out, but I question their ceiling. I do. That Jason Tatum Achilles tear got me thinking about, like, well, what's the worst injury that you could possibly have in sports in the year 2026? You can hit me up on X at NELL_BTP with the answer to that question. What is the worst injury you can have in pro sports right now? I was thinking the Achilles tear. I thought about anything where you end up losing feeling in your limbs or you become, potentially paralyzed. Breaking a neck is obviously tough. ACL tears and the Achilles tears are tough because you have to relearn how to walk. And if you haven't been through that, like, it is mentally challenging. It is grueling, and it really tests your love and passion for what you do athletically. I didn't think about a concussion. Josh Johnson, journeyman quarterback in the National Football League, told a story on a podcast earlier this week about how he self-diagnosed himself with a concussion.
So we flew back to Philly, one of the worst flights of my life. I never felt I never felt as uncomfortable as I felt on that plane ride. Got back to San Fran, went home, did exit meetings the next day. I was in shades like this, and everything was just hard to be in light. Then 2 days later, I almost passed out in the shower, and my wife called the team, and she was like, something's not right. And so when I got my MRI, that's when they figured out I had a brain bleed, because everybody thought I had a concussion. So I had a brain bleed, and the bleeding got into my spine to the point where I couldn't touch my toes. So I felt like three days ago, I felt like one of the better athletes in the world, and then 3 days later, I can't even touch my toes. And so went through rehab with the team doing that. Also was doing a double rehab with Sergio Azzolino, who has an office in San Fran. Great guy if you ever need brain health recovery. And so I'm doing 2 basically rehabs a day, and they thought my career would be over. By God's grace, I healed in 3 months instead of 6, like they had projected. Healed in 3 months. The Ravens signed me. I switched my helmet. I started taking jiu-jitsu to learn how to fall a little different, and then we're here.
First and foremost, man, and I say this with all sincerity, if you've been listening to the show since its origin, we like to have fun on this program, but also am not shy about expressing just how powerful our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is, man. And I've been through a whole lot of trials and tribulations in my life to get to this point. All I can think about is God when it comes to the Josh Johnson thing. You know how scary that is? You taking a shower. And think about it. You're doing something as innocent as trying to wash your ass. And the next thing you know, because of an undiagnosed concussion, you damn near falling out. He could have died, man. You falling in the shower? Could have died, man. Imagine the lawsuit that the NFL would have on its hands. Knowing the way that they cover things up. Would it ever come to the light? Would they treat it like how they treating Steve Tisch being all up in the Epstein files? It's like what they used to say about Diddy. He want to be all up in the videos and on all the songs and have his own lyrics. It's a crazy, crazy situation, though, man. It got me thinking, like, what's the worst injury you can suffer in pro sports right now? How do you not say concussion or anything to the brain after that story that you hear and just heard from Josh Johnson, man? It is absolutely ludicrous. When you think about the severity of concussions, and I think concussions become more severe when it's an older person. You think Floyd Mayweather's thinking about a concussion, or is he thinking about his pockets? Floyd, not only coming out of retirement to fight Mike Tyson, he's got a whole he's got a whole fight run lined up. Manny Pacquiao, Mike Tyson. He's taking on one of the best jiu-jitsu fighters in the world. I'm blanking on Slim's name. But, man, like, that's crazy that he's coming out of retirement at this age. Is it a bad look? Because culturally, man, on Twitter, Floyd getting dragged. Floyd is getting dragged
as he should.
Through the mud, as he should. So you think it's a bad look, Denton?
I think he ran out of money.
So apparently he's suing Showtime. He got a crazy lawsuit against Showtime and Al Heyman and them, trying to recoup some money that he said he was not gifted or given. And they didn't honor the contract that he had, so we'll see what happens with that.
Did you watch that first Pacquiao fight?
Uh-huh.
Did you think, I'd like to see that one again?
No, I didn't. So, but, like, that's because we got that too late, though. We got that too late. And I don't like, I'm being real, I don't like Floyd's style, man. That's why I think everybody's, like, talking about he needs the money. How can you really get mad at him? It ain't like he's going to get hit. He's never been able to get touched. I still think he can move and bob and weave with the best of them. I just know that he's not an offensive type of fighter. So while the nostalgia factor kind of gives me a dopamine rush when you talk about Floyd versus Tyson, I'm worried about Iron Mike. We're worried about Floyd's pockets. What the hell is up with Mike? His old ass has no business being in the ring.
Is he going to walk around and cheeks out again like he did for the Jake Paul fight?
Lord.
Lord have mercy. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and I get that. I'm like kind of over the nostalgia bit for all these things. Can we get and put some money behind young fighters? Like, I'm not a boxing fan because I can't be. Like, there's just no person to be a fan of. Yeah. They need to come together and give us like a central, hey, this is the heavyweight. Not like this WBC, XW2, like all these different championships. I need one set of championships and say these are it. And we're going to go really hard on real fighters. Not no Jake Paul, not 86-year-old Mike Tyson, not broke Floyd Mayweather. I want like good fighters.
Yeah. It's tough because I think, first of all, like I forgot all about what Mike old ass did with his ass cheeks out. That's ridiculous. Seriously. And this is why I wonder, like, when moments like that happen to celebrities, I wonder, like, who's in your corner, Slim? Like, who's a part of your team? Who do you confide in on a day-to-day? Whoever approved Mike Tyson's ass cheeks being out in his boxing uniform, go to bed. He should be fired. It's not a sight to see.
Do you think Mike Tyson would take instruction, though? Like, if you're going to be like, hey, Mike.
About it like he was a dog. You think is he trained? Is basically what you just asked.
Have you seen him fight? I'm not telling him to do something outside of his routine on a fight night. I'm like, hey, bro, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not.
You end up missing an ear.
I'm not getting beaten up because I told you to put your ass away.
I ain't gonna lie. That back when he was young, man, some of the post-fight speeches he was giving, man, he make you want to run through a wall. He is legitimately, clinically insane. It's been a blast, though, man. I love doing this with you all each and every night here on Westwood One Sports. Now, you know what time it is. It's getting late for me. If you're driving into work right now, it's early for you. But regardless, we're going to put the show to bed next.
Every team, every player, every story, every angle. This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Westwood One Sports Night. Here's Linnell Willingham.
Yes, indeedy. We done did it again, y'all. The end of the show is near. Appreciate you all locking into us, man. Means a hell of a lot that you all make the choice to make Westwood One Sports Night a part of your night each and every night. Locking in with the youngest in charge, Linnell Willingham. Programming note for you, Denton Day going to be in the chair, in the saddle the next 2 nights as Josh Graham is holding down the fort for our guy Black on Black and Abdallah, which you can check out weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Eastern time right here on Westwood One Sports, man. Denton, we have a pretty significant event coming up tomorrow for us as employees.
I am so excited
to talk to you about that.
Yes, we are getting lunch. Well, I'm getting lunch. You're getting dinner with our boss. This is a weird and wacky world that we exist in because we've been doing this job for almost 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
We have never met either of our bosses in person. Zoom calls, team calls, all these different things, phone calls, texts, all of it. We've done every way of communicating outside of like handwritten letter and pigeons. But we've never met our bosses face-to-face. That changes tomorrow. You're planning your situation out with our boss. I'm planning my situation out with the boss. I don't know. Like, is this a first impression?
Yeah,
or, like how does that work?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I am so awkward sometimes. So
our boss is about to watch me house a chicken parm tomorrow.
I know you're excited about the lunch.
I'm so excited.
That's a pretty. You're like Josh Graham level lunch, bro. Did you hear what Josh had for lunch today?
Yeah, Josh had loaded everything up.
Yeah,
Potatoes, steak, mac and
cheese. For a lunch. I say, hot damn, Josh. Who the hell is eating an 8-ounce for lunch? When you're the king, you live different. I understand it. I ain't hating. I am not hating.
I'm not the king. I just like chicken parm.
Yeah, I like chicken parm as well.
But I mean, I'm in my fasting stuff, right? I don't want to be that guy. But, like, I think lunch is supposed to be your biggest meal, technically. We'll see how that works tomorrow night. If I die on air or just fall asleep, it's because of my lunch situation.
Because you're hungry. That's interesting, man. I once had
I don't think you're awkward.
Well, thanks. Really? I just can't help but every time I think about meeting people for the first time, I compare it to, like, meeting women for the first time. And I only get nervous around women. I don't even think I get nervous around women, though. Like, I don't know. I can't wait till I reach the point in life that you're in, where you're married.
I've won the game.
You have.
Reminder, 600 subscribers. We'll get Linnell to tell the story and update us on his dating life that he compared to the 3-on-3 women's basketball league.
Yeah. Oh, man. Let's just say Club Linnell is currently vacant, and it is not by choice. Let's just say that.
Help wanted.
Well, I'll say this as far as what the resume got to have on it to be an employee at Club Linnell. First and foremost, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm just because I was,
I'm not about to get you in. I'm not about to get you in more trouble.
Yeah,
but I planned my day out around meeting our boss. Like I'm waking up early to work out, to make sure that my stomach is ready for the chicken parm, but also to make sure I work out because once you eat a chicken parm for lunch, like what are you gonna squat after that? No.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I got to make sure I'm operating correctly there. But it's like planning the whole day around it.
I want to see you guys next to each other. I honestly want to come to lunch.
I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing a hat.
Hey, for those of you who don't know, man, you hear Denton Day's dulcet tones on this program Monday through Friday. You can check him out on the weekends hosting here on Westwood One Sports as well. Him and our boss are like doppelgangers. It's like the Spider-Man meme. We were in our teams meeting one day, and our boss hadn't entered yet, and it's just his picture. And I'm like, yo, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to sound like I'm saying that all bald white men with beards look the same.
We do all look the same.
But, man, there's some striking similarities. Holy cow.
It is funny. I'll talk about my love life back ways away. You know what
I love when you preface.
It is funny to see people that you once had flings with of kinds and then see them move on, which is great. I moved on, they moved on, it's fine. And they be looking like, they be looking like me. And I'm like, oh, now you're with a bald dude with a beard? Oh, didn't see that one coming. You got a type.
Must have had a lasting impression on him. Isn't that something? I just think, I'll be honest, I think my love life is soured because I mistreated women when I was in high school and college. When I say mistreated, I just was unfaithful as all outdoors. In 10th grade, and I still talk to this girl now to this day. I cheated on my high school girlfriend of a year and a half with her best friend. And her best friend was also cheating on her boyfriend, who was my teammate on junior varsity. It's actually funny. Josh always brings up Steve Forbes, the head coach at Wake Forest. Mm-hmm. This guy coaches under Steve Forbes at Wake Forest. Joe Hughley is my guy. He's my guy that we've made up over the. We was in high school. It was a while ago. I've known Joe since I was in the 5th grade. He played AAU basketball for my uncle, but I definitely stole his girl.
Are they still friends?
No, probably not. I mean, Joe's a great guy. He's married now. He's the man.
No, I meant the two girls. Like you guys.
No,
the two boys.
I was the straw that broke that friendship. They both have children now, which kind of makes me feel like I dodged the bullet. You know, but I'll never forget, man. Todd Dombrowski, my JV basketball coach at Magruder High School, and I went to Magruder, one of the most, best public school basketball programs in the state of Maryland. Our coach, Dan Harwood, the winningest public school head coach ever. I was trying to make out with the girl I was cheating with, and I missed the bus for the JV game. Miss Lincoln, our school security, drove me to the high school because she was low-key like a family friend. Her son was out of training camp, and she was out of training camp too down there. I saw her, said hello. So we were really close like that. When I got there, man, Todd Dombrowski, mind you, on this team, I was the 7th man. I played every game. I got good minutes. I finished some games. Dog, he put me in with 2.4 seconds left to make a point that you don't miss the bus to cheat on your girlfriend.
Valid point.
Yeah. So, there's that. We always get closer on this program, man. That's why I love it. You all are like my family. Appreciate you all locking in, man. That is going to do it for a Wednesday night edition of Westwood One Sports Night. If you want to keep the conversation rolling with me on social media, baby, you know how to do it. It's The People's Show. Tweet at me. It's at NELL_BTP. I'll see y'all this weekend, man. I'm out.
This is Westwood One Sports.